wanna watch a drama. You say you wanna watch a comedy. Well, you can watch it with your mama, or you can watch it with your daddy.
You'll even sit and watch it with your middle schooler, so you can come and talk around a water cooler. We're watching all day and all night.
Couch potatoes unite.
Whoa, whoa.
Couch potatoes unite.
Whoa, whoa. Couch potatoes unite.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the podcast entitled Couch Potatoes Unite! Which is based on a blog of the same name because we're an occasionally zany, occasionally musical, always meta adaptation of our innermost thoughts as well. Don't believe me? Just keep listening. I'm the blogger in question and the self-styled chief couch potato. My name is Kylie and I love TV. If you feel the same, keep listening and or checking out our website, couchpotatoesunite.wordpress.com, as you're bound to find some common ground or something you like. For Couch Potatoes Unite, we're all about the wonders and unique long-form storytelling of the small screen. CPU! Hopes you've been following releases of brand new episodes of the podcast on Wednesdays, as well as new blog entries on some Tuesdays, and as always, we have several more new episodes on the way. Because the panels and I live lives behind our podcast, the episodes are published once per week. Subscribe to the website or the podcast via iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and now on iHeartRadio and CastBox to stay on top of brand new episodes. Episodes already published discuss a variety of shows around the water cooler, including, but not limited to, Supernatural, Orange is the New Black, Gotham, the Marvel shows on Netflix, Stranger Things, iZombie, Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, The Good Place, The Crown, Game of Thrones, American Horror Story, Grace and Frankie, and Mr. Robot. We've published several episodes in our Looking Back series covering such diverse shows as Freaks and Geeks, Star Trek, including the original series, the animated series, and the Next Generation, Rain, Friends, and Sense8. Plus, new episodes are in the works, including revisits for Altered Carbon, Doctor Who, Schitt's Creek, Westworld, Riverdale, Fuller House, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, How to Get Away with Murder, Will and Grace, Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., The 100, the DCTU series panel will catch up on the first two seasons of Black Lightning, and the Star Trek 50 Plus series will talk Season 3 of The Next Generation. We'll be launching new panels covering Charmed, Outlander, The Breaking Bad universe, This Is Us, The Orville, Big Little Lies, The Good Doctor, Call the Midwife, and The Animaniacs. And because we look back at shows now past, we'll revisit one of the all-time and most watched classic sitcoms, MASH. We'll consider the moral implications and quick cancellation of Dollhouse. We'll travel through time and experience all sorts of identities with Quantum Leap. We'll become embroiled in all of the crazy plot twists of Revenge. We'll thank the Golden Girls for being friends, and we'll cry bazinga for Big Bang Theory. By the way, did you know that CPU also from time to time goes live? We've been live from bunkers, comedy shows, Comic-Cons, and game stores. Plus, we're planning more live appearances and other cool stuff, including in these semi-quarantine times. So make sure you like or follow us at our Facebook page, our Twitter at CPU Podcast, our Instagram at Couch Potatoes Unite, or subscribe to our website, our YouTube channel, our Apple iTunes channel, our Stitcher Radio channel, or find us on Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and CastBox. In the meantime, if you don't hear a show in this podcast format, fellow panelists and I still write reviews and we always seek new panelists. So if you have any interest in joining the discussion, say hello by finding us at any of those outlets I've mentioned. At the very least, stop by and leave us a thumbs up, comment, or review. We like feedback, though please, if we're going to be the villain in our own story, take a beat or do a workbook, whatever works. Today we're around the water cooler and taking a first look at a romantic musical comedy drama that aired on the CW for 4 seasons from 2015 to 2019. Seasons 1 and 4 with 18 episodes and Seasons 2 and 3 with 13. If you aren't already aware though, from time to time, CPU will be choosing shows of all types, but usually of some fame or notoriety to reminisce about, and to consider whether or not they age gracefully like Rebecca when she does the work, or don't hold up as well like Rebecca when she forgoes the work in favor of unhealthy obsession. In this episode, CPU will look back while taking a first look around the water cooler. Hey, sometimes it gets a bit complicated around here. At this critically acclaimed show that perennially lived on the bubble until it was ended after 4 seasons, and after notably being one of the longest shows to survive given its place in the overall network ratings. It was consistently rated near the bottom of the pack. In addition, if you're not already aware, you should know that from time to time, your chief couch potato and main moderator, that's me, needs a break, particularly when I think others are more passionate about the show we're discussing in the moment. Case in point, today's episode, I am not here to moderate. Rather, frequent panelist Sarah returns to the moderating microphone for this series. She is our third most involved panelist and part of our regular moderating team. And in this episode, Sarah is joined by 4 of our frequent panelists, and of course me, kicking back as a panelist myself. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome back Sarah to the moderating microphone. Take it away, Sarah.
Thank you for that intro, Kylie. And I have to say, I've been super excited for this panel because I have been on several panels with all of you, and you're all some of my favorite people. So this is going to be fun. Crazy Ex-Girlfriend was an American musical comedy drama that aired on the CW for 4 seasons from October 2015 to April 2019. Rachel Bloom co-created with Aileen Brosh McKenna and starred as Rebecca Bunch, a New York lawyer who moves to West Covina on a whim to pursue her summer camp boyfriend and find her happily ever after. Common themes include true love, mental illness, sexuality, and societal norms for women in their 20s and beyond. We have a lot to get to, so let's just get right down to it. You're going to be asked to identify yourself by your first name only, state how you came to watch Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, and how you found the podcast Couch Potatoes Unite. You will also be asked to rank yourself as one of the following characters from the Crazy Ex-Girlfriend show. Because this is a looking back, you're going to give us your ranking at the beginning of watching the show and again at the end. Here we go. You love this show because, like Rebecca, you view the whole world as a musical and believe that breaking out in song is one of the purest expressions of emotion. You always follow your happiness wherever it leads you, like Rebecca Nora Bunch. Well, this show tried. It tried and tried and tried again. Even though it wasn't the smartest show on television, it was one of the best visually, and you loved looking at the stunning eye candy, like Joshua Felix Chan. Please. You just cannot with this show. You, with your naturally beautiful bone structure and flawless figure, cannot understand why anyone wouldn't love this show. Sure, it had its awkward phases, like the time you gained that weight after your breakup with Josh, but you stand by your opinion that this show is amazing, like your skin, like Valencia Perez. You tried to stay away. You did. But then you ended up trapped in an elevator and fantasy romantic dance with this show, and slowly it grew on you, like Nathaniel Plimpton III. Here's the thing. You live in the real world. You have a demanding life, and you don't really have time for nonsense like this show. Except sometimes magic creeps in, and you can't help but be drawn to the mysterious magnetism of Rebecca, like Paula Proctor and the gang from White Feather and Associates. Oh, really? You, do not get it. What is the pull for this show? This girl is clearly crazy. I mean, you'll study her and be her friend, but train wreck. Like Heather Davis. You did not watch this show. You are too cynical and drunk for this nonsense. You especially do not have time to take some crazy to raging waters, so why would you carve out time for this show? Like Greg Serrano. Who wants to go first?
Hi guys, it's Eddie.
Hi, Eddie.
Hey, you guys will know me. I was on some of the original Couch Potato Unite podcast. Oh my gosh. Okay, so this is the first show ever that was recommended to me that I didn't already have interest in. And ours truly, Kylie, recommended it to me. I still haven't decided if I love you for that or hate you for that all at the same time. I haven't decided. I'll let you know.
Okay.
But going through everything, I definitely have to say I started the show like Paula, who I'm super excited to talk about. And then I ended the show like Joshua. We could just make a whole show about his body and I'd be okay with that. Hashtag he's gay in real life. Winning! And he's also married. Darn it. So, but
that
trying.
was a roller coaster of emotions.
Have you watched this show?
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Eddie. We can't wait to hear more from you.
Hi, I'm Michael. I have been on many of the Looking Back podcasts of this show. I seem to have that knack for going into the history of television rather than current television. So this is kind of one of the few options that was a current show that I was a part of here Awesome. So I guess I'll start with where I came from on this show. I heard about it when it first came out in 2015. It was at the time I was reading a blog called the AV Club. It's a very awesome entertainment blog. And they did a review of the show. And they basically, the title of the review was, well, something along the lines of, don't be turned off by the title, because it's a great show. And I didn't realize when I'd heard of it that it was a musical. And I think I'd heard of it before this review. I had read it. And when I found out it was a musical, I was like, oh, this is interesting. I'm gonna watch it. And I found it, I think, on Hulu, because I think at the time it had already aired its first couple episodes. So I watched the first episode and just absolutely fell in love with the show, like instantly. Loved it from the moment that I watched it. And I am, at first, it's funny. At first I was like thinking, oh, well, obviously I'm Rebecca Bunch in your ranking. And then I guess for whatever reason, I didn't quite read through every single word of the Valencia one, because at first I thought that Valencia was like, oh, it's not that great. But then I read it again. It's like, oh, wait, no, it's the Valencia one is, yeah, this show's amazing. So I think I'm more Valencia actually in this case, because I can't understand why no one would like this show, which is why I'm a little worried about this episode. But anyway, it's gonna be interesting for me. But at the end of the show, yeah, I'm still the same way. I had so many great I just love the show, and I wish I had somebody. I want to share the show with the entire world because I love it so much.
Awesome. Thank you, Michael.
My name's Callie.
Hi, Callie.
And hi. Oh, hi. Oh, I know about this podcast because Kylie is my sister-in-law. Dynamics. So I'll do, some from time to time when I feel passionate about something or just want to talk about it and like it,
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I started watching this show. It just randomly popped up on my Netflix. So it must have been when it just first showed up, and I saw it and I was like, what's this? And I watched the first episode, and I think the very first thing I did was text Miss Sarah, our moderator, because it was as if I was watching her on television, because it was. And so if you know Sarah like we know Sarah, you know that she is very
crazy?
Much like, she's like, no, not crazy, but she's very much like Rachel Bloom, talented and makes songs out of literally everything you're doing.
That's legit. That tracks. And thank you.
It does.
I'll take it.
So I started watching it. And so I started this show as a Rebecca for sure. And then I think I ended this show as a Joshua Chan. La, la, la.
Thank you, Callie.
You're welcome.
Hi, I'm Kristen.
Hi, Kristen.
So, Couch Potatoes Unite. I've been part of CPU since episode 1, the original pilot 3, all these years ago, and I've been around ever since. If you listen to the podcast a lot, I'm on it a lot, so you've probably heard me before. I heard about Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, ironically, from my brother-in-law. He likes to lovingly tease the fact that I love musical theater. It's a big part of who I am, and he suggests all of the musical theater type shows to me if I haven't started watching them. So I got a message from him one day saying, hey, sis, I think you'd really like this. You should watch it because it's kind of like you. Not that he'd ever seen it. He just knew of the show. So I didn't watch it at first. Like Callie, I waited until it was out on Netflix. And I think it was probably during season 2, I think, once those episodes were released that I finally started watching it. I'm always a little leery of musical theater type shows on television because like Glee started off really good. And then it crashed and burned hard and was awful. So I'm always really hesitant to give singing shows a shot. But I'm glad I did. I like this one. So because of that, I'm going to say I started off as a Nathaniel. I tried to stay away. I was sure it was just a fad, not going to really be great. And then, like Valencia, it turned out to be amazing. So those are my two, Nathaniel and Valencia.
All right, thank you, Kristen. And as a follow-up, if you want to hear our Glee retrospective, Michael is on there, and Kylie and myself, so you could check that. Anywhere you can get your podcast, you can probably find that. So search us. We're out there, people.
I think I get to go next because I'm not moderating. I'm just talking today. Woohoo! So my name is Kylie, which I've mentioned. And
Hi, Kylie.
Hi! Hi! And I started watching Crazy Ex-Girlfriend because if you know me or you follow the blog or you've listened to the podcast or you subscribe to the website or the social media or you just know how unfortunately addicted to TV I am, you know that I look to see what's coming out in any given TV season. And in fact, since the inception of the podcast, for sure, I've been doing, we actually just published this year on September 1st. I do an annual fall preview to figure out what shows might actually be appealing not only to myself, but to any of our growing number of United Couch Potatoes. In the 2015 to 2016 season, I became aware of Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. At first, I was a little leery of it because if you just read the premise, it sounds like Felicity in reverse. Have you ever watched Felicity by J.J. Abrams, his very first show? I mean, it's about a girl. In that case, she's a new high school graduate going to college, chases her high school crush that doesn't even know she's alive from California to New York City. And that's how that one. Now, that one's not musical, and it's full of angsty drama and controversial haircuts. Then I read the premise for Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, which was basically a 20-something lawyer who finds her ex-boyfriend from camp from her teenage years and decides that in her pursuit of happiness follows him from New York to California. And I thought, okay, I'm not sold yet. And then I watched the trailer. The trailer, as I recall, was either a recut of something random that they just decided to put out there, or it was a shortened version of West Covina, and I kind of think it was the shortened version of West Covina. The trailer completely won me over because I thought, oh boy, most of us are in or around or involved with the theater. Some of us, our moderator, I'm sure she'll discuss this very shortly, is highly obsessed with the musical theater, and I thought to myself, uh-oh, this one's gonna have to be a show for the Couch Potatoes Unite. Unfortunately, I didn't start watching it right away, and it did live on the bubble, and maybe I contributed to its low ratings, and I'm really sorry. I didn't start watching it until a full panel emerged for us who wanted to talk about it, and this full panel sits here before you, more or less. Actually, kind of more, but then that's a whole thing that we're not going to talk about. So here we are, talking about Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. How would I rank... Oh, how did I find Couch Potatoes Unite? I started it. Okay.
Fair enough.
There you go. How would I rank my interest in Crazy Ex-Girlfriend from beginning to end? From beginning, I would be Nathaniel. I tried to stay away, and then I ended up trapped in some kind of fantasy, and I had to keep watching. There's a reason why Sarah is moderating this one today as well, beyond the musical theater piece. By the end of the show, I would still be Nathaniel. I am a Nathaniel through and through. You will find as we continue our discussion that I have highly strong mixed feelings about this show. Lots of pros, lots of cons, and I'm prepared to expound on that shortly.
We can't wait to hear it. Thanks, Kylie. Well, I'm the only one left. I'm Sarah. I found the podcast Couch Potatoes Unite because I've been friends with Kylie for a very long time, and it is her podcast. I believe I was on the pilot episode that we released. Is that Doctor Who?
Yep.
Yeah. That's how I found it. I watch a fair amount of TV. I don't think I watch as much as Kylie and Kristen. Kristen is our number one most involved panelist. I am third, only behind my husband, but
Who's not on this?
gaining on it. I started watching Crazy Ex-Girlfriend because Kylie told me to, which is the opposite of how our relationship usually works. I usually tell Kylie to do things, not vice versa. But that makes me sound bossy, but we all know I am.
No, it's true. It's fine.
I didn't watch it. I don't know why I didn't listen to you, Kylie. I just didn't have time, or like, it wasn't that I was opposed to it, but I was like, I don't have time for this. And then I started watching it. And at first, I will tell you, I was a Nathaniel. I was trying to stay away. I don't know why. I don't know what my deal is, but sometimes when you tell me I look like a person or I sing like a person or I act like them, I'm like, no, I don't. I'm my own thing. And I just avoid it. But I think I've been told now a lot that I look like Rachel Bloom. I'm very similarly built like her. Maybe, I don't know. And I have the brown hair, and we both sing a lot and are loud. At the end of watching this show, well, I took a break from watching it. I didn't watch it all the way through. I had to stop. Something happened where I had to stop. And it was, we'll get to it later, but it was where Paula had the abortion. And I wasn't in a good place in my life to watch after that, through my own fertility journeys and journeys as a mom. That really ruined it for me for a while. And so I stopped. And then I picked it back up again. And I finished the show my first time through, probably somewhere like a Josh Chan. But I will say, in preparing to moderate this, I watched it again. And at the end, I am now a Rebecca. And I will expound upon that more later as we get into it. Let's get into it, shall we?
We shall.
Okay. This is our time to talk about the show in general. What did you like? What did you dislike? You can be as general or as specific as you want to be, knowing that we're going to hit each of the seasons individually. So if there's something you forget, we're probably going to get to it later. Who wants to lead us off here?
This being a show that was completely recommended to me and I had no clue that the show even existed, I fell in love with Paula, and not just fall in love with Paula. I fell in love with the characters because each individual character is literally could be pulled off the show and be their own TV show, and I would probably watch it.
Yeah, Paula, played by Donna Lynn Champlin, who is a Broadway phenom,
powerhouse.
She does everything, and in an interview she said, "Yeah, I'm a coloratura, but I don't look like that, so they want me to be a belter." I think that's in regards to maybe her body type. And we have these very specific, terrible things that we do in musical theater. And I think everybody will chime in on that. But she got a chance to really do some of those things in this show.
She has some of the best songs on the show. I mean, I just watched the episode where this is season 4. And so I know we're jumping to season 4 already. I'm sorry. It's just I just watched the episode where she sings the song, "I Always Never Believed in You." And that song was so freaking amazing. I just love that song, and she sang it that was, in my opinion, that's her best song on the show, Donna Lynn Champlin's. And I kind of got choked up listening to it. I know you don't agree with me, Eddie. I know it's fine.
So
it's
don't
fine.
Agree with you. I'm sorry.
It's fine, whatever. I think it's, I mean, but then again, all of her songs are going to be up there for me. I mean, honestly, I'm going to have a hard time picking 3 songs I don't like. But again, I don't know. I guess that's just, I don't know. So she's amazing. And Paula's a great character.
I love that Paula was the second character to sing. I just watched the pilot episode before we jumped onto the podcast. And
I rewatched it too, yeah.
And I think that's really important to note that she was the second one to sing other than Rebecca. What really kind of showed that she was going to be a very important character in Rebecca's life from this point. And that it was very telling that it wasn't Josh, who was the second character to sing, even if it was just in her mind. So, yeah.
I love their friendship. I mean, to me, the friendship between Paula and Rebecca is so... I mean, yeah, of course, it has the enabling aspect to it. But any of the problematic issues of their relationship gets called out on the show. And they deal with it in a sitcom-y, in a 1-hour sitcom-y, everything wraps up with a pretty bow way. I mean, okay, this isn't meant to be a realistic show. But, I love that little turn in the pilot where, she's set up to be this, she's set up to be the rom-com cliche of the scheming other woman who's trying to bring down the innocent, happy-go-lucky female protagonist who's just there to fall in love and have a great destiny. And you think it's going to be this whole woman-on-woman rival thing that's just so toxic and terrible. And then there's that little turn at the end where she starts saying, "You're so brave," and they start that. They have that beautiful reprise of the West Covina song, and they harmonize, and it's just I don't know. To me, that's what made me fall in love with the show from the very beginning, was that moment where they actually become, she says, my friend, and it's just oh, it's so cool. I love the fact that it totally didn't match your expectations. So, yeah.
Okay, all I have to say is, Michael, I really think you should talk to everybody before they watch the show, because I may have just fallen in love with the show a little bit more with you just describing the pilot.
Oh, really?
I mean, you definitely love this show.
You do love this show, Michael. I feel like I'm kind of where Eddie at least was just a little bit ago, where I started, I don't know what happened, because I don't remember if maybe I got busy or distracted or something, but I got to a point about halfway through the third season where I started to check out, like not pay attention about halfway through the third season. And then the rest of the fourth season, I started to like not pay attention, like looking at your phone and looking at your iPad. You know what I mean? But I don't know why. I don't know like what made me become disinterested. But then a song would come on and I'd be like, ooh, fun. And then the storyline, I would be like,
I think it's the reputation, like the repetition. The show just kept repeating and repeating and repeating and repeating and repeating. And I feel like the only thing that was different is, oh, there's a song. Like I totally hands down agree with you.
Thank you. Thank you. I thought I was alone.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Kelly. I really started to check out at the beginning of the fourth season, especially once, spoiler, Rebecca goes to jail and actually wants to be there. I felt that part, I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to suffer through it because I know that the ending should hopefully get a little better. The ultimate low point for me was in season 4 when they had the Pretzels sing a whole song.
Yeah.
At that point, they'd run out of ideas, and they've done songs for time filler before, like, what was it, like season 1, like a random grocery clerk sings for 45 seconds about there's a cleanup in aisle 4 or whatever. But the pretzel song, I'm like, oh, they are really trying hard to make this stretch for this season.
Scraping the bottom.
So bad. It was
yeah.
so bad. I really could have done without that whole storyline with the pretzels. I get why it was there, but it just felt like a time filler.
One of the things really interesting about this panel that I feel we should share is that we all have an extensive background in musical theater, both as viewers, crew members, performers, producers. We've got directors, we've got choreographers. You've got it covered in this panel. So if anybody's going to be interested in music shows, I feel like we're your best bet. So I just felt like this should be a time to share that because we definitely know what we're talking about. There we go. Little brag.
Right.
A little brag.
Hashtag humble brag. I want to echo, so I'll try to intersperse my praise with my not so praise. I love the supporting characters, particularly Paula and particularly Heather. They are my two favorite characters and consistently are funny. They make me giggle. I don't think Heather's a great singer, but her comedic delivery is very good. Donalyn Champlin is the best singer on the show. And it's just a lot of fun to kind of walk through their evolution. Secondarily, I like OG Greg. OG Greg, this is very important. I like Nathaniel, and I like Joe, otherwise known as White Josh. I enjoy all of those characters quite a bit.
So wrong. White Josh, so wrong.
But there's a joke in it. It's a joke.
Funny, because there's not White Josh, then there's White Josh who wants to be called White Josh.
And not White Josh doesn't get called not White Josh, where maybe in real life there would have been that turn. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So I enjoy the supporting characters quite a bit, and if nothing else, they were the reason why I stuck with the show all 4 seasons. On the other hand, the main characters to me are, and that I would include Rebecca and Josh in that, and I don't think of Sarah as Rachel Bloom or Rebecca Bunch quite as much, so I preface that because I'm going to say that I don't like Rebecca. Even when we're supposed to start liking Rebecca, I only dislike her a little less. So for her, we all have our crosses to bear, and I think that this show is very messy in the message that it's trying to present. And unfortunately, the character that they chose to present it through is not a good ambassador for the message that they're trying to send. Even though it's supposed to be a comedy, and it's a mess. And I'm going to I will leave it here for now, but as other points come up, I'm going to speak on why I think it's a mess and why I can't love the show probably as much as maybe others on this panel.
I agree with you that I don't think Rebecca was ever good by herself. She always had to have somebody with her to and most of it was Paula. Like, I know that Paula was like back scheming and black internet, as we like to call it, and hacking for Rebecca. But like, it's really sad that you're the main character and you could have been plunked out, and it would have been better without you there. Like, but I mean, she did have her moments, and like, I agree with you that even when we were supposed to like her, it was like, okay, but I never once the whole series like was like, oh, I love her. Never, not once. Nope.
As an example, the show is praised for its commentary on female empowerment, and I think that's valid to a point. But the main character positions herself as a feminist. No, not one episode passes the Bechdel test. It takes them 3 seasons to make a meta joke about how it doesn't pass the Bechdel test, and then its response is, "What are you, the feminism police?" It's like, what are you trying to tell me right now? Because that seems pretty dumb. Pretty dumb if you're trying to be feministy about it.
I'm gonna push back a little bit.
Yeah.
And I don't usually push back at people.
That's fine.
But I want to say, first of all, I don't think anybody's comparing me to Rebecca Bunch. I think
Challenge.
No, I wanted to say it's because Rachel Bloom like wrote most of, if not all of these songs, or had help with, but wrote most of them. But that's literally Sarah. That's why it reminded me of her, because she does those things. Like, I'm putting on makeup and Sarah's singing a song about it right now.
Yeah,
like,
and also,
I think that's the
I do sometimes, when this is going to sound like I'm bragging on my voice, sometimes I think I sound like Rachel when she sings a little bit. We have similar sort of range and style. But I guess part of the reason why I ultimately liked Rebecca, and this show is painful to watch for me. It's cringy. She does things I would never, ever, ever do. She breaks into houses. She stalks people. I'm not condoning any of that. But the reason that I ultimately find it redeeming is because she had an undiagnosed mental illness and finally received the treatment and started to receive the treatment and the help that she wanted. And so I think that's the lens I look at it, is she was miserable, and she was bandaging her life with all of these things. I have to have a man. She had sex with a lot of people, and she was doing all these things. But I like the ultimate message that she kind of was left with, that she was a broken person, and it's worth working on yourself to redeem yourself and find your happiness. So that's kind of the lens I look at it through. No, I don't think she's particularly a feminist. But I think she thinks she's a feminist, for sure. I think you're right. You're spot on there.
So, I have a response to that, too, because that's the other praise that a lot of critics heap on the show. And I agree. By the time the show actually decides that that's what it is, then that's when the Rebecca character starts to be a little bit more likable for me. The problem is that I feel like in the first 2 seasons, aside from hints and glimmers, that's not actually what they were going for. It was only after 2 seasons had passed and they had kind of been riding the bubble. They blew through the Josh Chan storyline really, really quickly. They had him leave her at the altar, spoiler, at the end of season 2. So then they had to figure out how she was going to recover from that. They had a lot of good seeds planted to kind of link up to this undiagnosed diagnosis. And the show actually takes on a little bit of a different tone in season 3. It goes meta when it was never meta before. It actually starts to be self-referential as a musical within a musical, because obviously they're setting up for the ultimate ending that we finally see. But up until that point, aside from a few visits to the therapist she never listens to, they don't really actually do a lot of the connecting of, father abandoned her, mother's overbearing. These are all the seeds for potential borderline diagnosis, and they don't actually drive that home. So I think the show does well in presenting these issues on TV that doesn't happen very often, and talking about how she needs to do the work. That to me is a redeeming feature. But because they did it in the format they did it, it ends up coming out like a big mess. And it just doesn't land for me in my gut as much as it might to somebody else.
I do have to say, though, I like how this is one of the first shows that makes it okay that you have to medicate and have a mental illness.
Yes.
I myself, and I'm way comfortable with saying this, take an antidepressant. And I love that the show I mean, in their own wacky, crazy way they did. But I love how they make it that it's okay that you can take it, that you can still live life, and that you're not that medication, that you are just using that medication to be your best self.
I agree. And Eddie, I will come out too and say I've been on antidepressants in my past. I'm not currently, but I think we got to take that stigma away. And I think they do a nice job of addressing that. I agree.
The song itself is catchy.
I'm sorry. Right. Yes. It is one of my favorite songs. The show does do very well with a lot of stigma stuff and bringing it up. I love how they didn't make, oh gosh, I can't think of his name. White Josh's boyfriend. Oh my gosh, I can't think of his name.
Daryl.
Thank you. I love how they didn't make him come out gay. I really thought they were going to make him come out gay. And I really enjoyed the fact that they made him just bisexual on the show, and how that being bisexual is okay if that's how you feel. And they had a lot of those like moments where they really showed stigma things that we have in our society that we still consider taboo as being okay.
I agree with that. That's one of my positives for the show, especially when it comes to sexual identity and sexual orientation. After they have Daryl come out as bi, and he has one of the catchiest songs in the whole show lexicon, which is a Huey Lewis homage, by the way. Later on, Valencia just has a girlfriend for no apparent reason after a time jump, and we just go on. There's not even a mention of it. We're going forward.
It's normal. I agree. I like how they made that normal.
And one of the things that Rachel Bloom has said in an interview is that they consulted with the Writers Guild, has like people they can contact, therapists and people that handle issues. And they talked to some people that were bisexual and said, take this script and tear it apart. And they said they pointed out things. Oh, don't say this. No, this is better. Oh, good. Say that. And this is correct. And I think that's great that they did that, because they really tried to be responsible about some of those issues, and I appreciated it.
I appreciated it too.
I do have to say the one thing that is stigma that they pointed to, and I wish they would have did it a little more clean, is Rebecca's attempt at suicide. I feel like they glorified her a lot after she tried committing suicide. And I didn't, and I think if you watch it, it makes it seem like, okay, well, if I try committing suicide, I'm going to get a lot of attention. And she did get a lot of attention. And I just didn't like how they showed that. And I wish they would have went, I know the songs make it a bright, lovely show. I wish they would have went a little darker with that myself. I mean, they picked the hottest psychiatrist that they could find. And I mean, I would have been way okay with him being my psychiatrist. But I mean, I don't like how I almost felt like they glorified suicide a little bit, and that and I don't think that that was their approach, but that's how it came off. And I hope I'm not the only one that feels that way.
Do you mean glorified or glamorized?
I think glamorized is a way better word. And I don't mean like the fact of how like she did it. I mean of like how she got attention afterwards, and how like, okay, she's going back to being normal after trying to commit suicide. I felt like there was a lot that they could have played on, and they just didn't.
Well, and I would agree with Eddie on that point. That was one of my cons. They hit on a lot of topics, but they didn't round out the discussion. I think the point they were trying to make with that was people who have support will be able to do their mental health work in a meaningful and healthy way. But they didn't really touch on the idea, and again, because it's a musical comedy possibly, that not a lot of people have that support, and that's why they land kind of in the situation where they land. So it's one of those things where it's great that they brought it up and they talked about it, but it also felt very hollow because it wasn't the full piece of it, and that left me feeling a little hollow.
But how do you do that in this context?
I don't know. I give it points for being clever, and I give it points for being earnest, and I think it's laudable that they did it. But I also feel like at the end of the show, it left me feeling like I watched something that was messy in a way that didn't leave me feeling like I was thinking about it or enjoying it or connecting to the songs very well. There were some songs that worked really well for me, and I think really did drive the point home. The Diagnosis song is going to feature on one of the discussions. I really love that song, and I think that's kind of the point of the show. But then there were songs around it that didn't do the topics any favors, and I don't know. I don't have a good answer. All I can tell you is how I felt as a viewer watching these 4 seasons.
I think that's a pretty good segue to get down to start talking about season 1. Here's some major plot points that we can talk about. Rebecca moves to West Covina. Paula's got some crazy stalker tendencies. Rebecca has new friendships with Valencia, Josh, Paula, Heather, and the whole gang. She actually starts therapy with Dr. Akopian in season 1, which I forgot. I thought that happened much later, but it was season 1.
Well, the friendship with Valencia, I think that's really not until season 2.
I'm going to push back at you once again, because she has ulterior motives, but they do become friends, and then Valencia figures out what she's up to and cuts it off. But they go to the club together, and then Rebecca...
Oh, that's right. I see what you're saying. Mm-hmm.
The theme song is Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. Dive in, gang.
That's my favorite theme song of the 4. If I'm supposed to say season 2, I'm sorry, but I really find the theme song from season 1 the catchiest, because that's the one I kept singing long after I had stopped watching season 1.
I agree with you. I do. It's the catchiest one.
I could not stop singing West Covina for probably 2 weeks. I probably was taking care of patients singing West Covina.
That is the greatest... Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to be superlative, probably unnecessarily here. But in my opinion, that is a great opening number. I love the way in the pilot episode it starts out. Again, if you didn't know it was going to be a musical... When she suddenly breaks into that song, it's like, wait, what's going on? Suddenly she's singing, and it's like, oh, okay, so this is what we're doing right now. And I've watched that video. I love the fact that Rachel Bloom has posted all of the songs on her YouTube page. I've spent many a night, just rewatching all of the songs on the show. Not all of them, but I'll be like, oh, hey, there's that one. And then I go down to a YouTube hole where I just on repeat click on a link and go to the next song and go to the next song, and suddenly it's 2 a.m. Anyway, that's my life. I listen to that one a lot because that is such a freaking amazing opening number.
I do have to say, one of the pros for this show is that right off the get-go, they knew who they had to make their target audience. Like West Covina, if you can't say that's like La La Land, I mean, I don't know who you are, because that's definitely who they were targeting to get to watch the show. And look who's on this panel.
I'm pretty sure the homage was La La Land, wasn't it?
Not for that one, because La La Land didn't exist in that time. I don't think there is an homage for that song. To me, that's more of a straightforward, this is just an opening number. This is how you open a musical. It's not to me, it seems like most songs on the show, at least, I don't know, I'm sorry, I'm getting into general instead of focusing on season 1, but it seems like most songs are either, a pastiche of a genre, because it seems like basically every single musical genre you can think of was represented on this show, which I think is amazing. And then there are just straightforward musical theater numbers. And to me, that one is just sort of a straightforward number. There's no real pastiche that it was trying to... Maybe pastiche is the wrong word. I don't know. It wasn't necessarily a direct reference to something.
No, I think you're right. I think it was pastiche, actually, of any opening number to any musical. And it is fabulous. That's one of my favorite sequences of all 4 seasons. And I sang West Covina for several days as well.
My favorite song is actually in season 1. And
Mine too.
And it's Face Your Fears. And that's when we knew that Paula was going to be a force to be reckoned with, when she sang that song. I plan to do that song in drag someday. I'll invite you all.
Nice.
Yeah, my favorite song was also in season 1. It's You Stupid Bitch.
Thank you. That's my favorite song.
That's my favorite song. It took me a couple episodes into season 1 to really fall in love with the show, too, on top of already having a hesitation to watch, and then, okay, we'll see where this goes. I know that happened much later on in the season, but that was yep, I love it. I'm in it for the long haul now. I've listened to it enough where tonight, before the podcast started, my husband started singing it as he was walking away to give me the space in the house to record. So that was fun as he was going down into the basement. Then also, I don't know. It seems like most of the songs that I really love about the show are the ones that touch on those kind of feelings that a lot of people have. Like, I've had those moments where I've done something super stupid in a relationship, and I've had that inner monologue like Rebecca did in You Stupid Bitch. Then there's songs later on, too, where it's all the introspective kind of, does anybody else feel this way kind of songs that really resonated with me.
Well, it's interesting that, every song, well, not every song, but like, which one is the definitive song here? I mean, there's certain songs where they had to clean up for network TV. So that's the one that you see on when you're watching the show. But then Rachel Bloom was really great about posting the explicit version, which is probably the version that they wrote originally, and on her YouTube page. So like, one of my favorite songs, and it's a long list of favorite songs, is I'm a Good Person. Like, I sing that to myself a lot. I just, I don't know which one I like better. I don't know if I like the explicit version better with all the swears and everything in it, or if I like the network TV version.
Since you asked about season 1 specifically, season 1 and season 4 are my favorite seasons. And I have 2, because to me the first 2 seasons are one show and the second 2 seasons are another show in my head. So season 1 is the better season to me than season 2, just because it was fresh and new, and I think there's a lot of strong musical numbers that come out of that opening season. I personally love Settle For Me. I'm going to talk about the OG Greg. I love him. He's Santino Fontana. He is the voice of Hans in Frozen. He has the best male voice on the show, personal opinion, and he's also cute. But I really I love the Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers homage of that song.
Yes, thank you.
And I love when they go all out for the dream sequences that go to the songs, and that's one really good example. And to me, when they integrate the songs in a way that not only serve as an homage, but propel the plot forward at the same time, that's when the show's at its best. Plus, I really kind of relate to the lyrics. I don't know why. No personal things.
I like that one, too. And then one other thing, and I'll hit on it now just because I'll forget later, but I've got to tell you how much I love all the Jap battles.
I feel like we probably need to clarify what that means, what JAP stands for here.
The Jewish American Princess rap battles is what they are.
Thank you.
And I love them. And they happen throughout, and I just love them so much.
No one self-identifies as a Jewish American princess on this panel. I just want to throw that out.
Sorry. This season also has the song Getting By that we talked about. Mm-hmm. It has one of my personal favorites, not really favorites, but to sing, the Sexy Getting Ready song, and I literally sing it every morning. So
that's a great song.
I can see that.
Not that I do any of that maintenance in the morning, but
Let's see how the guys get ready.
And
cut to Greg asleep on the couch with a beer, suggesting the alcoholism right from the very beginning.
Yeah, this has a lot of good songs. I'm looking at my season 1 song list, and it has a lot of really good songs.
Again, in general, they wrote 129 songs.
157.
157. I'm sorry. I thought it was 129 because the list only ranked 129 of them, I guess.
Rank all of the reprisals and, all that. But, on the concert episode, the very last episode of season 4, she mentions that they wrote 157. I just watched.
That is freaking ridiculously amazing. Like, the songwriting team of Rachel Bloom and Jack Dolgen and the dearly departed Adam Schlesinger. I mean, it's just staggering. To me, it's staggering that they were able to come up with so many songs. And the fact they had to write 2 songs an episode, essentially. I mean, I don't know if they had the regular weekly TV schedule that they were working on when they were writing it. But, I mean, you basically had to come up with 2 songs a week. I mean, that's kind of amazing.
It'd be really interesting to see what their writing process was like, because I noticed, especially like as I rewatched the pilot, it seems like there were some allusions to things that would happen in later seasons.
Mm-hmm.
In the first episode, like it mentions her going to jail and things like that. And I'm like, oh, is that just coincidence? Probably is. But if they had everything mapped out, they could have been dropping those little hints along the way too.
Those love nuggets,
mm-hmm.
love kernels.
Love kernels.
Love kernels.
I have to say, you guys, some of these these parodies are totally wasted on me because I'm not cool. I didn't know that was a Beyonce reference. This one, I give Good Parent. I didn't know that was
I think it's Nicki Minaj.
Nicki or Iggy Azalea?
No, it's Nicki Minaj.
Thank you. I mean, I don't know because I'm not cool.
That was actually one of my favorite parts of the show, was trying to guess who she was kind of homaging in the moment. And I didn't necessarily get all of them either, but I got quite a few of them and felt pretty good about myself at the time. Although I don't really remember the song we're talking about right now.
I give Good Parent?
Yeah.
I give Good
Oh my
Parent.
goodness.
So funny.
Oh my god.
So funny.
So it's the episode where it's in season 1. She is going to meet Josh's parents at a...
Got it.
Yeah, it's a Filipino holiday, and I can't remember the name of it. I'm so sorry.
It's Thanksgiving.
Oh, okay. Then, but there's Filipino dishes at Thanksgiving. That's what it is. Okay, sorry. So basically, it's at Thanksgiving, and then she like gets all dressed up, and she makes a traditional Filipino dish to impress Josh's parents. And I love that song, even though I don't know. I guess we could talk about the idea of a white woman doing a doing a rap song and whether or not that's appropriate or not. But
I mean,
the explicit version is very explicit.
It is Nicki Minaj, though, now that you reminded me of the song.
I mean, I think because somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I think because it's a parody, does that make it good? I don't know.
It makes it funny. It's funny.
Well,
it just makes it funny.
They're an acknowledged parody, and they drive that point home when Weird Al Yankovic makes a guest appearance in season 4. So he obviously did his versions of certain rap songs, like Amish Paradise, for example. I think because it's a self-acknowledged parody, it's probably okay as long as we don't get, say bad things.
Yeah. All right, well, that's season 1. Let's chat about season 2. You guys wanna?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Here's some of the major plot points. Greg's alcoholism, and he moves. Paula's abortion and law school. Nathaniel's family buys White Feather and Associates. Rebecca and Josh's wedding. Rebecca's father visits. Rebecca's left at the altar. The theme song is I'm Just a Girl in Love.
Which is my favorite theme song of the 4.
La, 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 la. That's my favorite theme song, too.
I love this. There's that really awkward moment at the end after she goes, blam! And they hold it on her face, bursting through the heart.
I love that.
3 seconds longer than they should. It wraps up her character with no words better than any description could possibly do. Yeah, it's my favorite.
And for the audience, we should probably mention that this is a podcast, so we probably can't notice the fact that the background's on Zoom. We should probably mention that panelist Kylie here has a background of Rebecca Bunch doing the blam moment, which I think just as an editing thing, I don't know, this is probably really nitpicky, and I'm just going to be, mention it because I think it's really awesome. I love the fact that it's a seamless cut from the hearts, the female dancers, going to making the hearts into Josh's face, and then she blams through the hearts. I mean, that's a really seamless cut, and I don't know if that's important to mention, but I'm going to mention it.
I think of all the 4 theme songs, it's the best one to describe what the show is about in the moment. The season 1 theme song is like the most effective recap of all time. The season 2 theme song is like the most meta commentary of the 4 songs.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't decide whether I like season 2 theme song or season 1 theme song, because I like both of them very, very close to equally. I love the way that in season 1 they incorporated the theme song. Well, you can incorporate the theme songs in just about every season, but I mean, they incorporated basically every time she explains to a person on the show, another character on the show, why she's in West Covina, they would cut to the theme song, which I thought was hilarious. And then, of course, there's the moment in season 1 where Paula and her husband Scott actually speak the theme song word for word instead of sing it, and then to drive the point home, they cut to the title card. It's hilarious. So yeah, I don't know. I can't decide whether I like season 1 or season 2 better.
Nobody needs you to decide. You can like them both.
I don't know. I'm sensing a tone here on this episode that I feel like I have to take a stance. I don't know.
Oh.
I have very strong mixed feelings. There are things I really like, and there are things that I just don't. However, season two is out to bring it back around to Sarah's question. This one started out rough for me. It got better, but it started out really, really rough. And that's when I was like, I don't know if I like this show so much.
Is it only because Greg leaves, or is it for something else?
That didn't help it, but that's not why. It started off very, very repetitive to me.
Okay.
It was just the endless merry-go-round of, is it Greg? Is it Josh? Is it Greg? Is it Josh? Is it Greg? Is it Josh? Now, it becomes a little more interesting when there's 3 she's fighting over later on. But then Greg leaves, that doesn't help, so then it's all Josh for a long time. And Santino Fontana did leave the show. He had other commitments. I researched it, because I was like, why did he leave? But
he only wanted to do one season. I think Aline Brosh McKenna and Rachel Bloom had to literally convince him just to stick around to wrap up his character.
Yeah, something to that effect. So it gets better. There's a few storylines in the season that are interesting, like Paula's storyline is very interesting, but also very hard to watch.
Well, this season is really weird for me, and I never once thought they weren't actually singing, but for 1 second when maybe this dream that Paula sang, I was like, do they have other singers singing this for them and they're just lip syncing? Because when she sings that song, I'm like, all right, powerhouse, and I fell in love with her even more. But I agree that season 2 is probably the hardest season for me to get through, because it just started the repetition over and over and over again. But season 2 is also where we start diving into those real life issues, and it was really hard for me to get through the abortion, because I have really strong opinions about that, to get through that as well. Also because they have the Catholic faith on this show, it kind of felt like a slap in the face. So I almost stopped watching because of that, but it's a TV show. So, and I also wanted to see what was going to happen to Paula. I never once cared about Rebecca. She could have fell off the planet Earth. I just wanted to see if Paula was going to do what she wanted to do.
Yeah, I mean, I already said it, but I did stop watching at that point. And like I said, I was not in a good place to watch that. That really was upsetting for me. But, ultimately I came back to it, and I still like the character of Paula. She's a full 3-dimensional character. She does things, and I don't always agree with them, and that's okay. But yeah, I think that was hard. Interested to hear if that's hard for any of the rest of you, or if that, I don't know.
I mean, obviously, clearly myself as a man, I can never have an abortion. And I mean, I've had friends that have, and other people have their own opinions. For me, personally, throughout the whole series, I feel like they make fun of the Catholic religion. They also make fun of the Jewish religion as well. And the jokes that they make at it, I think they could have done without. And then bringing something up in a show that I kind of feel like they wish-wash the abortion. Like, she had it, it was gone, now we're moving on. I don't think they let us heal from Paula being upset. It was more of a slap in the face. She had an abortion, and Rebecca wasn't there. Shocker. That's how I took it. And the whole fact that this is also the season, if I'm wrong, I apologize, that Josh leaves, and I think he leaves, or it goes into season 4 that he leaves for the Catholic Church. That's just rude and disgusting, that they just made it seem like that it was just funny, and that he was going to go, I don't even remember. I was so mad that they even went that route, that I don't even know what he was going to get. He was going to get something.
He wanted to be a priest. He decided that he had so much doubts about marrying Rebecca, and he always took solace in talking to Father Bra about spirit. He was the one who consistently talked to Father Bra, who they went to high school with, about spirituality, that he misguidedly, I'm not totally disagreeing with you, he misguidedly decided he was going to escape the possibility of the wedding by joining the priesthood without totally understanding what he was getting himself into. Which,
do you think that maybe they were trying for some plot points that were almost over the top shocking.
No, I don't
like
think so.
on purpose. You don't think that you didn't feel that way?
No, I don't think they were trying to do shock value. To me, the show, I keep going back to overall statements, I'm sorry. I feel like with those particular storylines, they were trying to show, maybe not necessarily the Paula storyline, because I will never fully understand that. I will never understand anyone's feelings behind that storyline, because I will never have personal experience with that. So I feel like I don't want to say I don't have an opinion of it. That's not true. I don't feel like I have a place to make a comment on it. So I won't. For the Josh storyline, I feel like they're trying to make the point that he was just as broken, or at least he still needed to go on a journey of self-discovery, mental health, dealing with his own underlying issues to address. And he wasn't an adult enough to confront Rebecca and say, hey, I don't think I'm ready to get married, and I don't think I want to marry you. So instead of confronting that as an adult, he did the juvenile thing and escaped to the priesthood. Yes, it is a absurd and potentially offensive thing to do, because it's making light of something that lots of people put a lot of effort and thought into. But that's the point. He didn't put a lot of effort and thought into it. He was merely trying to escape. So I don't think they were trying to provoke. I think they were trying to go the absurd route to make their point.
I think in that case that's true. And I don't think they go for shock factor either. I think, again, this is just symptomatic of all the things that happen, and Paula's experience as well. They bring up something that doesn't often get talked about on TV, and that by itself is good. Like, we've seen abortion done on TV. We've not necessarily seen midlife abortion done on TV, where the choice is between, do I have another baby at my age and forego all of my other hopes and dreams, or do I have an abortion and take care of the kids I got and pursue whatever hopes and dreams I have. I don't think that storyline was as mishandled as some of the ones they have otherwise, but it's still one of those very deep discussions that would have benefited from, say, for example, Rebecca being around. That's one of the controversial parts, is that Paula chooses not to tell Rebecca because she's so convinced that Rebecca is so self-involved with her pursuit with Josh that she's not going to be there for her. And she's not totally wrong about that, but then she never actually tells Rebecca until after they have the big fight, and then they have the big fight, and then she tells Rebecca. And that's kind of the dysfunction on the show. It's like there's a lot of very serious, heady life topics, and they don't necessarily round it out in a way that feels organic at that moment.
Yeah, I guess part of that to me was that shouldn't have had, in my opinion, that shouldn't have had anything to do with Rebecca. She shouldn't have expected Rebecca to be with her or help her through that at all. Granted, we all want support from our friends, but that was something that her and her husband decided. And I think she was in the wrong to try to make Rebecca feel guilty because she wasn't there for her for that. Because that had nothing to do with Rebecca. So I don't know.
I agree with that.
It was weird. That was a weird thing to throw back at Rebecca.
Was it really that she was throwing the fact that she wasn't there, or was it more of a general, you don't ask about what's going on in my life, and that's starting to be a problem?
I agree. I so agree with you.
It's all of it.
It is all of it, but also, like, you're friends with somebody with narcissistic tendencies. It's never been about you in this friendship, so I'm not sure why you would start expecting that now.
That's legit.
Correct.
So I don't know. Again, this is good. In a way, it's good writing because this is real things. Like, these are real things. It's just not always great television, maybe, for me.
It goes back to what Michael said. How do you write, like, about issues like abortion and suicide? And I mean,
real life. Like,
how do you write
real
about
life?
Right, exactly. Yeah. How do you write about real life in a show that you already have that is obnoxious, over the top. I think what I can truly say about this show is that they tried bringing real life situations that are hard to talk about, and they tried bringing them up in a comedy way so that we could start a discussion. And I'm going to even state, like, look at the discussion that we're having on this podcast right now. Us just talking.
Yeah.
This is huge that this show can do that.
Yeah.
But then it also breeds the possibility that people might not respond in a positive light because of how the discussion is seated and how it's presented. And that's where I was by the end of the show. So.
Correct.
Yeah.
I agree. That's where I was at as well.
Do we want to hit up some favorite songs from season 2? It's got some good ones.
Oh, I'll run with this one. This one has 2 of my favorite songs in the whole show. The first one is a wonderful, glorious duet by Josh and OG Greg.
That's my favorite song from the season.
I love that song. I love it. I love it so much.
2 beautiful men tap dancing and
an ode to singing in the rains, Moses supposes.
Yes, it is. And the guy who plays Josh Chan is an excellent, excellent dancer. And I love that they make use of his talents. This is the first song that I love where he tap dances. The second one is in season 3.
Vincent Rodriguez III.
Yeah, but to get him with Greg in this fantasy scene, just both tap dancing, having this buddy good time, highlight of season 2.
Yep.
That is a great song. I do love that one.
Yeah.
It's got some great wordplay. I think the lyrics on almost every song. I mean, sure there are some clunkers, but again, I mean, I will give you that the pretzel song was not good at all. That's probably the least. That'll probably be on the bottom of my list if I can even come up with one.
And it's not just that it was pretzel singing, it was that they made it a Simon and Garfunkel homage, and it was really awkward.
Yeah. My other favorite song from season 2 was Greg's exit song, which was Shit Show, talking about his relationship with Rebecca, that it was just a shit show.
Kristen, you just like all the swear words.
I sure do. It's not all of them.
You know what's funny?
Yeah.
Kristen just took both of my favorite songs of the season. Like, I have them on my list.
Yeah, they're
right here,
written down at the bottom here. Yeah, I love it. The acting in that song, what he does with it, being such silly subject matter, is incredible. I love it. It's a song that I think of when I think of Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. So,
as I'm starting to sweat because so far none of my favorites are lining up with anything anyone's saying. This always happens. Be self-conscious.
What are your favorites?
Well, from this season, it is my favorite character singing "Let's Have Intercourse."
Yes!
Yeah.
I love it. It's an homage to, of course, Ed Sheeran's Thinking Out Loud. They do a very similar dance. And guys, I adore Nathaniel. I love the character, and I love that actor. He is probably my favorite character on this show. And when he started singing, I was like, and he's going to sing too? I thought you just got some eye candy to, like, be a villain. And he's awesome, and I love it. So,
fun fact, he played Kristoff in Once Upon a Time's Frozen, which was not the best season, but he was fine. And also, I love Nathaniel too.
Yeah.
Good. Scott Michael Foster or Forster?
Yeah.
Foster? Yes.
Yeah.
He's great. I mean, I love his evolution in later seasons. I mean, in this season, he's basically just the villain who starts to have a very strange fixation on Rebecca that everyone seems to have. But
it's the sexual tension trope. It's the sexual
exactly.
tension trope.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this also has some songs that don't make my top favorites overall, but I really enjoyed Research Me Obsessively. I really like Brittany Snow, and I think she did a nice job. And I also like Stuck in the Bathroom, which is the R. Kelly parody.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
She's so, and I think it's that Vella Lovell.
Vella Lovell. Mm-hmm.
She can sell me anything, and I'm gonna buy that. I loved her in that song. So those are some of mine.
I just wanted to say that my runner-up to We Tap That Ass was Tell Me I'm Okay, Patrick. Because it's the Sondheim homage, and I'm a big Sondheim fan, and plus Patrick was Seth Green, who I love.
It's legit.
I like the way they choreograph that number. Not necessarily the dance, but I mean like the way the cinematic choreography or the way, I don't know the terminology to use, but I like the way they do it where he kind of just like looks around like, wait, what am I doing here? I'm just delivering you a package. Why am I suddenly playing piano? Why am I suddenly in your position on top of the piano being the word I can't think of right now, whatever the word is. The ingenue. There we go. Why am I the ingenue suddenly?
All good ones. Should we talk season 3?
Let's do it.
Major plot points include Rebecca wants revenge for being left at the altar. She gets a makeover. She unravels, and her mom intervenes by drugging her. Rebecca attempts suicide and gets a diagnosis. I almost sang that, but I didn't. I refrained. Rebecca and Nathaniel have an affair. Rebecca/Daryl/Heather make a baby. And Rebecca murders Trent? Question mark? Your theme song is You Do, You Don't Want to Be Crazy.
Worst theme song.
I don't think he murdered him, by the way. I just think he was really injured.
No, he was. That's why I said question mark. It was kind of a cliffhanger.
You don't realize what happens to him at the end of the season. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
My bad.
I actually really like this theme song. I don't really have a favorite between the 4 of them. I think they're all very good and they reflect their season, but I really enjoy this one.
My 3rd out of 4 for theme song ranking.
It's my 4th out of 4, as is the season. This is the season that I think is the messiest of all of the 4 seasons.
It's very messy.
Messy how? Messy how? I'm curious what you mean.
Because it's tugging at so many things in such a big way, and it doesn't really effectively deal with most of them. Although I will say that by the time they decide, okay, Rebecca's going to have this huge revelation after the plane lands and she's in the hospital and she's tugged into inpatient therapy and that sort of thing. The journey starts, but the season 3 tone is noticeably different from seasons 1 and 2. Not in the sense of the story they're telling, but all of a sudden it's meta, it's self-referential, they're breaking the 4th wall. They were not doing that previously. I went back and checked. And there's a lot of, the surrogacy storyline is really great, but they didn't really deal with it in a totally meaningful way, apart from Rebecca.
The surrogacy storyline?
The surrogacy storyline.
Oh, surrogacy. Sorry. I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, it's very unrealistic. You don't just say, I'll have your baby. Oh, I just happen to be ovulating and I'm pregnant. No background check, no contract. Here it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a little too pat. And even though they could kind of ignore Rebecca for a little while because she was going through her stuff, her cavalier egg donation felt a little pat. And Heather I bought it in the end because of the characters that they were. But here again, it's just like a continuation of the previous drops of story that are typically real life heady topics and this season just fell all over itself in many, many ways that I didn't buy it by the end. Although it won me back in season 4.
Really, what's really funny is that my favorite song from this season explains how this season made me feel. And that is This Is Me that Heather sings.
Yeah, I love that one. I love that one.
Literally how this season was.
This is the moment, or this is my moment. Is that the one you mean?
The moment
is me. There you go. The moment is me. Okay, yeah.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. But that song explains how I literally felt watching the show. Really? Another song. Really? Another plot twist.
Another one.
Oh, great. She's doing the same thing all over again. Okay, great. That song pretty much sums up where I think they thought half the people that have been watching the show kind of felt, except for Michael. No offense. Love you, buddy.
That's how I felt with this season. It felt all over the place, and this is where I started to get distracted with other things. Mm-hmm. And the only other saving grace, which I believe was in the same episode, which is my favorite song, I believe, of this. Yes, that's the one I have, is the I Go to the Zoo song. I love it. It's so funny. It's so funny because he sings it so damn seriously. That's literally what he does is go to the zoo. Yes. I love it. I love it.
This might be overreaching for some, but I think overall all of the best songs come from this season. There, I said it.
I like this season.
I would say most of the songs were pretty well done in this season, but I don't think my favorite song is still from season 1, hands down.
Mine is too.
There's strong songs. My favorite song is from season 3, though. I don't have as many, like with season 1 and season 4, I found it hard to pick, and I had a lot of honorable mentions. But for season 3, I was like, nope, these are it, and my favorite song is out of this season.
So let's chat about some of those.
A Diagnosis to me is the theme of the entire show.
Yep.
And it's the classic musical theater belt where it's the big second act revelation. She's finally come into her own. It's sung very well by Rachel Bloom, and to me it is ultimately what the show I think wanted to be about and finally gets there. It took 3 seasons, but it finally gets there, and I really love the delivery on that song. And I sing that one, too, for no apparent reason that I know of, because I don't talk about diagnoses on a daily basis, but it's fun to sing, so there's that.
Yeah, that's the other one that pops into my head really easily. When Sarah said, hey, I'm going to ask you what your favorite songs are, that's the first one that I started singing in my head for no reason whatsoever. But that stuck out, and it's on my top list, too.
I'm going to name some songs. You tell me if you like them. Let's Generalize About Men.
Great, love it.
Love it.
Yeah,
But
I'm here.
gay men aren't bad. Gay men aren't bad. Okay.
They're not rapists, apparently.
Unlike
Your son's going to be a rapist. I love that line.
The Buzzing from the Bathroom. That's the
my
Les Mis.
runner-up. That is my runner-up because, oh my gosh, of the White Feather and Associates people, George is my least favorite. But Tim is so funny because he's singing about a vibrator.
He's funny.
This one has After Everything You Made Me Do.
The reprise.
It has both. The Moment Is Me. We got I Go to the Zoo. One of my favorites, The End of the Movie, sung by Josh Groban. I sing that to my children all the time.
That is my second favorite of the series in the style of Josh Groban, because I know on the soundtrack or the whatever it is that they have, it's sung by somebody else. But in the style of Josh Groban, because he's hilarious, I love that one.
This one also has First Penis I Saw, which is the
I love that song, and I love Paula singing it. I'm sorry. I'm going to get really nerdy here. I'm sorry. Can I just talk for the ABBA thing that no one talks about? That every single ABBA parody does, and I love? You probably have no idea what I'm talking about. But it's the ABBA thing. It's the thing where they have the one woman standing directly at the camera, and they have the other woman standing in profile, covering up half her face. Yes. Every single ABBA parody does this, and that does it, and it made me so happy. And I don't know, I know ABBA did it in their musical videos that from the 70s, so I can't remember which one it is. I don't know which one it is. I feel like they did it in multiple ones. But every single ABBA parody from Muriel's Wedding to this show, they always do it. And every time I just love it and I smile and it makes me happy.
I enjoy Paula's delivery on this song, but it is an ABBA parody, so I can't like it because I don't love it as much as I don't love ABBA so much. So parodying ABBA is not fun.
Have I been saying ABBA wrong my whole life?
No,
I say ABBA too, Sarah.
Okay.
I don't think it matters.
The only right way would be the Swedish way to say it, and I don't know which one is right.
If you are listening from Sweden, please tweet at us at CPU Podcast on Twitter and let us know how to say that, because we don't want to be wrong. You know, we're fans of Mamma Mia. We're hip.
Kylie's not a fan. She did the so-so gesture.
All right. Shall we chat season 4?
Sure.
Yeah.
Season 4. Rebecca wants to go to jail. Rebecca doesn't want to be a lawyer. She opens Rebetzel's Pretzels. Her brother visits. Greg is back, but he looks sort of different. Cats. Rebecca takes antidepressants. She does community theater. Love Quadrangle. She becomes a songwriter at last. The theme song is Meet Rebecca.
I enjoyed Meet Rebecca because I like the fabulous girl who kept making comments, and one of my favorite ones was, I missed the season 1 theme song, because I was like, yes, girl!
Yeah.
Season 4 to me is the better of the second or the last 2 seasons, just because they're rounding it out. I do not love the ending, though, and I do not love the she wants her self-penance to be jail piece.
Yeah, it's just not realistic.
And you're not supposed to like that. I mean, they even call it out on the show. It's gross.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't have to be there. She is a privileged, white, rich woman who says she wants to go to jail as penance when everyone says, no, wait, you don't have to be there. The people in the jail even say it.
Yeah.
But eventually she realizes that and she helps them out. So does Paula.
I understand that, Michael, but if I'm not supposed to like it, then how am I supposed to get through the last part of the season? This is my thing. So, I mean, I get that there's a commentary there. I'm fully intelligently, perceptually understanding that, but it was a real drag to watch.
Okay.
I didn't think it was real cringy. I feel like they could have done something different with that time.
It wasn't even one of the best homages as the Chicago homage goes. They could have done better with that.
Yeah, that had potential, but you're right. It just didn't go as far as it could have gone.
I think it's overdone.
Mm-hmm.
It's so overdone. And that's also one of my least favorite musicals of all time. So,
I like it.
Before y'all shoot me, just saying.
I've been thinking about this a lot. This is probably going to make me sound like a hypocrite, and I'm going to own that, and I'm fine with it. What's the difference between this show and the unlikable protagonist that we've all been talking about in a show like Game of Thrones, Mad Men? We have Breaking Bad. All 3 of these shows are considered the Sopranos. These are like the epitome of what is often called peak TV, the new golden age of TV. And these shows are ripe with terrible, horrible human beings that everyone talks about as like, this is the utmost amazing bit of drama that TV has to offer. I'm going mostly okay, yes, I'm sorry. You have a lot to say. And I'm sure lots of what I'm saying makes no sense whatsoever.
I've never seen any of those shows.
I've never seen any of them.
Me neither.
So I think we have
All right, never mind. I will not continue my statement because
I'm not saying you're wrong, but go ahead, Kylie.
Go ahead.
I've not watched Mad Men or Sopranos, so I cannot comment on that fully. I have watched Game of Thrones and Breaking Bad. The difference between those 2 and Crazy Ex-Girlfriend is that Game of Thrones and Breaking Bad owned what they were from the very get-go. Crazy Ex-Girlfriend did not present the way that season 4 ultimately starts off when season 1 began. Now, the other piece about it is Walter White, if we're comparing to Breaking Bad, the challenge of that show is you're supposed to think he's good, and you do, and you find out that he's not. That's different. Rebecca doesn't actually ever have that kind of connection, at least with me as a viewer. And with Game of Thrones, there are some people that are fully bad, like your Joffreys and your Ramsays, but then there are some who are truly noble, and it's just complex. And that's an entirely different backdrop, because there's dragons and violence. So for me, it's completely different. It's what this show is trying to sell for you at the very beginning. It's targeting musical theater fans with musical comedy, but sprinkling in all these shows with the protagonist that you really don't know where this is going to go, other than the fact that she's completely and totally obsessed with Josh Chan. And then it just goes from there. And you're either along for that ride because you connected with it, obviously, and there's nothing wrong with that. Your feelings are valid. I did not connect with it as well as you did. And so I felt like I was in a rowboat just drifting along.
I'm sure it wasn't a very good comparison. I'm sorry. It was probably... I've been thinking about it a lot, and I realized it probably wasn't a very good comparison. I don't know. I'm in a weird place, so I'm just gonna... I don't know.
Michael, what you maybe were trying to say is maybe this was the question I had is it different if it's a woman, or is it different if there's music involved? I know when we talked about Glee, a lot of things happened in Glee that were very problematic for us. And it's because of that juxtaposition of the musicality in it, I think that sometimes makes us struggle, if I may. But
I just, it's probably just my own prejudices against those shows, because it's more just an idea of like, these are unlikable characters and everyone raves about them, and now we have this show where there's lots of unlikable characters and people aren't raving as much. I just want people to rave more about it so I can talk about it with them. I don't know.
The supporting characters are great. The supporting characters are awesome. It's the main character, the one who's actually narrating the story, that is unlikable. And so it's really a decision. It really comes down to viewer preference, and you're perfectly fine to love the show. But when we're talking about this on the podcast, I mean, I told you I was going to be the negative Nelly. I know. Honest.
So I do have to say my favorite Rebecca moment happened in season 4. And it's only because I'm a big brother and I have a lot of half siblings. When her little half brother flew out to see her to audition for Pan, can I say I actually cried? Am I allowed to say?
Yeah.
And then, like, I don't know. I just feel like it's something that I would do. I would pay for theater camp so he doesn't have to do construction all summer. Like, that's just something that I would do. I feel like the reason why season 4 was so hard for me to get through is what I wanted them to do in season 1, 2, and 3. They finally did in season 4. Like, I finally got the genuine Rebecca that I should have fallen in love with in season 2, in season 4. Like, all I knew Rebecca as was, I want a man, I want a man, I want a man, which, being a gay man, I always want a man. Anyway, I feel like that's all they focused on with her, so I couldn't fall in love with her, and that's why it was really hard to love the show, which I do like the show and the premise of it, but I just feel like season 4, they're like, all right, we got to wrap it up, but we really don't want you to end with hating Rebecca, so we're going to show you that genuine. And I also want to say that Josh is a pirate. I really wish I could hire him just to come to me.
Eddie makes a really good point, though. That's kind of what it is. We didn't have a good foundation with Rebecca. And then eventually the foundation, the root of the character doesn't come out till the 4th season. That's risky storytelling.
Isn't that the point of the whole show?
Well, it just happened.
She's on a journey.
Did I hallucinate when I was writing my notes, or do I have little Rebecca notes in here?
Yeah, I mean, she's
little
in season
Rebecca.
3.
We see little Rebecca a lot.
And that's what we wanted.
Right. But they were, again, what we've talked about this whole podcast is little Rebecca. And the reason she probably hasn't been brought up is that there were points in the show that we wanted more so we could get to know Rebecca, and they just cut it away. Like when she went to go see her father, and that moment where her mother was like, get in the car, and we actually learn, and I think they played on the whole fact of like the Scrooge and the ghost of Christmas past at this part when we saw this. Like her mom, that relationship, they had something there. And like her mom, like we all thought she genuinely hated Rebecca, but she was a damn single mother who wanted the best for her daughter. Sure. And I was raised by a single mother, and like just knowing how she was, and knowing that she never wanted her to actually hate her father. So that's why she told her that. That's huge. That literally happened within 5 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, 5 minutes. It was a snap.
It's the little revelations they never really developed. Yes, she is on a journey, but they don't do a good enough job connecting the dots, ultimately.
So do you think it should have been a whole episode as opposed to just 5 minutes? Is that what you're saying?
Or sprinkled in more throughout the whole show itself.
I think they should have sprinkled it. She's the main character, and the relationships with all the stuff. I should not watch a show and love your 2 supporting cast members way more than and I mean, I have watched other shows that I've loved the supporting cast way more than I have the leading, but like Rebecca was in our face. Like she was thrown at us where it was like, bleh, all Rebecca, and it was just so much that they couldn't develop a story around her. I enjoyed Heather's story way more throughout this whole thing. Also, her husband was also really hot. I thought Hector was the most obnoxious, should have not been there, but he was good looking to look at. Like, they definitely, casting the show, made it a very point to have very good looking men on the show. But, like, I mean, I feel like Rebecca, and I know we'll eventually get to it, and I'm sorry to bring it up earlier, I feel like the show is going to be, recommended to somebody that definitely, isn't going to take offense to these issues. I don't, and Michael, I love that you love this show. And I've been that strong about shows before, but I don't think this show did what it was supposed to do and intained. And and honestly, I hate sitting on this podcast because I can't tell you what it was trying to do.
I'm gonna make you feel better, maybe, Michael, and just say that I think that her fixation on a man and finding a man, to me, does speak to her mental illness because of the attachment issues that she had. She was being offered that partnership and she panicked, walked out. The first thing she saw was Josh. And in order to save herself, I'm doing that in quotes, from what she thought was this mistake, she decided to go for Josh. And when she couldn't make that dream come true, she attached to whatever male in her life was there. To me, that was a good through line for me. And I like how they wrapped it up at the end. She didn't choose a man. She finally was able to choose herself. So I find that redeeming about her. I don't think I dislike Rebecca the way a lot of maybe some of you do. It was cringy to watch her. It was painful because she made a lot of mistakes and she was suffering and she was ill and, none of that was recognized. But to me, that kind of rang true. I do feel like we were heading toward that diagnosis the whole time. So I guess that's my 2 cents on it. Michael's smiling.
I just want to say that it isn't the fact that she chose herself is why I don't like the ending. I don't like what I'm calling the Hobbit ending, where it was really just the musical in her head the whole time, and now she leads to, and it's at a open mic night, which is kind of funny, but kind of hokey. It just felt, it landed a little weird for me in the end. And I also want to say that as wonderful and as clever as it was to try to introduce Skylar Astin as new Greg, I messaged Eddie and I was like, I don't like Diet Greg. I don't like him.
Diet Greg.
I think he did the best that he could, and I can't think of anybody I would prefer more than him except the original. I prefer the first Greg, but if I have to have a second Greg, I think he did his best as anybody could really do.
I do have to say, I think it's really funny how they made it played off that, wow, he really found himself when he went to school and he changed so much that we don't even recognize him.
Yeah, that was
well, specifically, she doesn't recognize him because, again, it's her perception.
You don't always remember people accurately from your past. But also with the casting of Skylar Astin, it's like, really? That's who you got? That's really obvious. I'm surprised they didn't go with somebody who was a little less well-known to make that transition easier, because I feel like, well, yeah, you need a cute guy singing on a TV show. Of course, that's who you're going to call. That's what he's known for.
I wish they would have chose Ben Plate. He would have had the geekiness that Greg has.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Too young, though, probably, right? Because he's only in his 20s.
She went to college with Skylar Astin, so that's how he came into play. She went to NYU with him.
Makes sense.
Yeah. What songs are we not? Songs?
I'm going to start off.
Go for it.
One of my absolute, hands down favorite Rebecca moments is at the end of season 4 when she sings 11 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
I love that moment where it's almost like, she's back in her mind. It's the 11 o'clock number in the musical. Things are wrapping up. And she goes through this medley of essentially her greatest hits. And I loved the originality of the 11 o'clock, the refrain, and then going into all these different elements and hitting, the darkness and diagnosis, and all of her costumes come out on mannequins, and there's 12 of them to represent the clock, which is cool. So that's my favorite song in this season, followed secondly by The Darkness. I thought that was a beautiful little ballad. But it's
a straightforward number, not really a pastiche on anything.
But my favorite moment comes immediately after that, where Rebecca lets Paula in to this world. And Paula, she even makes a joke when Rebecca's singing 11 o'clock. She's like, oh, you're doing that thing again? Okay, I'll just wait. And she pulls out her phone. I love the moment where she brings Paula into this world inside of her mind. And so Paula gets to see, so this is what you were doing. This is you. This is the you you've been searching for. And Paula, with that wonderful maternal best friend clarity, just opens everything up to Rebecca, opens her eyes.
I think that's a beautiful moment, and I love the fact that, again, they do the callback to West Covina, and specifically the reprise, I don't know how to say it, of West Covina in the first episode, where they harmonize, and again, it's the same turn. I just love that.
So yeah, there's that circle moment. It was the first song that they sang together, and it's the last song that they sing together. So
the song itself wasn't my favorite, but I loved all of the staging and the use of the turntable and that moment that you're talking about. And since we mentioned...
Can we call it a turtle? I think we should call it a turtle.
It doesn't move. It goes around. It's a turntable. But I also wanted to sneak in... It's not my favorite. I'll talk about that because Michael wants to talk in a moment. But I wanted to sneak in the Jap Battle reprise here because since we're talking about reprises, and the Jap Battles are funny. They're really funny.
So good. So good.
But there's like a few moments in the reprise that are just, it's clear they're going to go back to frenemy territory, and then they just fall away back to compliments. I don't know. Whoever plays Audra is really, really funny.
So good.
I really enjoyed The Group Mind Has Decided You're in Love. Love's Not a Game, which is the Guys and Dolls parody, which we finally get to hear David Hall sing lead vocals. That's why, Josh, for all of you. Those aren't two of my favorite songs, but they're two of my favorite stagings because I just love watching group choreography. And I loved in The Group Mind Has Decided You're in Love, and Paula brings that guy in, and they're like, who's this? And she's like, I've had a really long week. Just give me this guy. Like, I just need him as my dance partner. Just let me have this.
Love's Not a Game is the one that I selected as my favorite because of the Guys and Dolls and the big production, and it was the whole ensemble. But it was also one of the things that irritated me because I was like, so how exactly does this musical fantasy conceit work on this show? Rebecca's not in the scene. Who's having this dream? That was my question.
I don't need to know that when it's a musical. I can just be there. It's my best quality. So I get
you guys are funny.
By the entire episode devoted to the musical Cats because I just can't with that nonsense.
No.
But I was still there for it. But
you guys are funny. You literally list it. So like my little stars are the group Decided You're in Love, Always Never Believed in You is starred. And then Hey, Everything About You Not Sad. I'm Not Sad, You're Sad. The Darkness, Into Antidepressants, which is the next episode, are all starred. Mm-hmm. And the only things you didn't mention were The One Indescribable Instant and I Want to Be a Child Star, which I believe was Little Rebecca. Am I crazy?
No, that was Tucker, her half-brother.
Oh, it was Tucker. Sorry, I just have them starred. I didn't have who sang them. But I starred them, which means that those are two of my other favorites.
I also really like Don't Be a Lawyer.
Yes.
And it has been people do watch-alongs on YouTube, real lawyers you can watch, and they comment about how accurate that song is. So, and I love a good Bobby Brown reference.
Bobby Brown, New Edition, and Milli Vanilli are all referenced in that particular song.
I would really like to do a bonus question right now, and you have to answer, and I don't care. You don't get two choices, Kristen. You have to pick one. So here is your real question. Should she have ended up with Josh, Greg, or Nathaniel? You have to say one of them.
Greg.
Nathaniel.
You guys
Nathaniel.
suck.
I say Nathaniel too. He's my favorite. Yay. Sorry, Kylie.
I liked Greg. That's okay. I liked him. He was short-lived, though. So
I liked Greg, too. I prefer him over Josh.
Josh was nice to look at, but there was no substance.
Nothing there.
He literally had a song called Thought Bubbles.
Nothing there. There's nothing there.
There's nothing there.
I know.
Called Angry/Mad.
Yes.
Which was a fun
Angry/Mad.
homage. Yeah. But that's all he said. I'm angry and mad.
If Greg hadn't left, I might have been on the Greg train, but Greg left. He called it a shit show. He bailed. Yep. He might have come back and been a whole new person. But by that time, Nathaniel had evolved and was so in love with her and nice, and he was trying his best, and he said, I'm trying to be a good person, and really...
He does go to the zoo.
And he goes
to make himself feel better.
So even though none of us picked him, Josh had my favorite date when they were competing, though.
He had a sweet date.
Yeah.
He had my favorite date. Nathaniel was a little, like, you could predict he was going to do something like that, but that was his character, and I was okay with that.
Yeah, for me, I just choose to think Josh deserved a different happiness, that he was too pure for all of this nonsense, I think.
Yeah.
I totally agree. You know, what's funny is we haven't even talked about my favorite song. We never talked about the yoga song in season 1. I'm sorry to
I
bring it
didn't
up.
like it.
Oh, I didn't like it either.
I liked it because that's how we met her, and she stayed true the whole entire series.
Yeah. We haven't talked a lot about Valencia, but...
No, I had to bring it up. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I like it. I like that song a lot, actually. But then again, there's not really a lot of songs I don't like. I'm sorry.
You don't like the
That's okay.
Michael!
No, it's
allowed to
not,
like
because
it.
I don't have an opinion. That's basically what this is.
Yeah, no, that's okay. You're allowed.
Segue, because now we're going to list our bottom 3 songs and our top 3 songs. At least 3. You can go up to 5 if you want, but we need at least 3. So who wants to start with bottom?
I will
Let's start with bottom.
My least, in no particular order, are Twisted Fate, which is the pretzel song. Hated it. Awful. It needed to be cut. Next is Clean Up on Aisle 4, which is that one weird grocery subplot from season 1 with Greg. It only was like 45 seconds, but it was time filler and was not one of our characters. And it was a real life singing thing. No. And then last would be Josh's song in season 2 where he's like in the club and all that. No, get out of here with that. That's no.
Get out of here with that. Oh,
Go ahead,
I would love to go. Wait, I just have to find that. I know off the top of my head the Where's the Bathroom that the mom sings. Does that make sense to everybody? Where's the bathroom? Where's the bathroom?
I love that song. It's in season 1.
I don't know why I hate it so much. I don't know. It just like rubs me the wrong way. And then the pretzel song for sure is on my list. And then I have a third, but I don't know where it is, so I have to find it. So somebody else go.
Okay, so I feel like I'm going to get a lot of pushback for this list, and it's okay.
Oh.
But one of my songs that I did not like is I did not like the period sex song. Only because it should have been one of those like 45-second songs. And I feel like it was half the episode. Yeah, like, I feel like we kept singing period sex, like the whole entire episode, which I think if it would have been shorter. Then I did not like the song I Love My Daughter, which I know where they were going, but I did not want them to make him a creep. And that song kind of made him a creep. Like the song itself, like if you just listen to it, is really good. And of course he loves his daughter, but it really made him like a creepo. And I'm like, don't do this for me. And then I think it's probably going to be on most of our lists is the Twisted Fate song.
Pretzel song.
Yeah.
It's only because of who they like, and like Simon, like they destroyed it. Like it shouldn't have been there.
I found my last one. Should I say it now?
Yes.
It's the opening to season 3, the Where's Rebecca, the pitchforky group thing. I hated that.
Where's
Rebecca
Rebecca? Where's Rebecca?
Where's Rebecca Bunch? Yeah, that one. I hated it.
Yeah.
Oh, it was bad. Bad.
I can go. So the best of the worst of the 3, I did 3, is I'm Feeling Kinda Naughty, which is the Katy Perry knockoff in season 1. Only because I get why she wants to be obsessed with Valencia. It's kind of a projection from her obsession with Josh. I totally get that. It just feels like this is a good time to mock Katy Perry's I Kissed a Girl, so we're going to put this song in. And it just felt a little like you could have built that up better. Number 2 for me is Period Sex. It's my same criticism. It went on for way too long. Period Sex, very catchy. Period Sex for 5 minutes, not catchy.
It had no period.
Also, I don't want to talk about it that much.
Everybody's got their preferences and, female empowerment, great. But keep
Takes like 10 seconds.
Exactly.
And we're done.
And we're done. And then finally, even though I appreciate the long and in-depth discussion of all of the different vaginal health issues brought up in this song, Vagina Metaphor is my least favorite song for 2 reasons. One, again, it was broken into movements, and 2, it was the Cats parody, and I hate Cats with a fiery
I hate
passion. Not real Cats,
I hate-
just the musical, and so therefore I was done with that song within 30 seconds.
You didn't like Itchy Cat?
No.
I mean, when you're a woman, all the things are, possible, and the cat metaphor came out real great, but it was a really long metaphor.
I just have to say that song made me go, God bless that I'm a man. That's all I'm saying.
She also did some pretty extreme things down there over the course of that episode, and if you don't do that nonsense, you're a nurse. Why am I explaining this to you?
I know.
She made some very bad mistakes.
I know.
Actually, Itchy Cat wasn't quite as uncomfortable as Funky Cat.
Yeah.
Funky Cat.
That's true. That's so true.
But I think when you take all those home remedies, you're messing with your balance, girls. Knock it off.
PSA.
Sarah.
Normal pH, girls. Normal pH.
Sarah,
Yeah,
did you do yours?
I didn't do mine.
Oh, let's hear them, lady.
Okay, nobody said them yet. I don't like real life fighting is awkward. I thought it was boring. I don't want to see them slapping each other. I'm not a big fan of Angry Mad. Again, it went on really long, and I love watching Vinny Rodriguez do his stuff, but it just was a little long. That was like a Footloose kind of a dancing one. Yeah.
I rated it down for season 1. It just didn't make my worst list.
My other third one that I don't like is California Christmas Time. I just didn't really. That was.
Oh, Michael, is that one of your top 3?
No.
Okay. You reacted like it was the end of the world.
Do you have a bottom 3, Michael?
Yeah, Michael, we have to hear yours.
Were you done? I can't remember.
Those were
Okay. All right. I'm struggling. I definitely agree with everyone that the pretzel song is not that great. It's just I think they may have been struggling that episode. They were like, we need a song here. Well, I don't know. Well, maybe we don't need a song here. Well, just throw this one in here. I don't know. It's just it was just weird and unmemorable and only memorable in a good way. So I don't know. I don't know if that's the worst song in my opinion, but it's definitely one of my bottom 3. No, actually, no, it's not my bottom 3. I mean, it is in my bottom 3, but it's not the last of the bottom. I'm having trouble coming up with a third. The worst for me is the Santa Ana Wind song.
Oh, I like that one.
I was just going to say I like that one.
It's the Jersey Boys one.
Right.
It's my least favorite because you don't like the way Period Sex song goes on for the entire episode. I don't like how that one goes on for the whole episode. And I don't know, I just found the singer's voice to be annoying.
He's the guy from Broadway that played Frankie Valli. I can't.
Yeah.
I agree with you. It does kind of I can't ever say that word right. Reprise.
Reprise?
I think it's reprise.
I've always said reprise, but she said reprise in the show, which made me second guess the way I said it. So.
Well, it does that a lot, and I'm like, let's move it along. Let's get more of Nathaniel singing in here and less of you.
Actually, the whole episode about the Santa Ana Winds was a joke that went on too long, but I thought the fact that he kept coming in with snarky comments and falsetto was pretty funny.
Agreed.
Well, Michael, since you went last, you get to be the first person to say your top 3 songs.
I don't think I can. I think no particular order. I think the 3 songs that I have a tendency to go back to again and again, and it's just because they're so, I guess, a part of, I feel like they are me, and Kylie, you have said it, I go back and forth to the I Have Friends song. I love that song. It's so funny, and I love the way it's staged, and the little tiny joke that is just a complete throwaway joke, but it's so funny of how she has to dodge a pizza slice. But she dodges a pizza slice both as an adult and as a child. It makes sense why she's dodging a pizza slice as a child, because, she's being bullied at school. That makes sense. But the fact she does it as an adult later in the song, and it's, again, a short song, it's just, I don't know, I laugh every time. So, I don't know, again, I don't think it's my favorite song of the whole show, but I keep coming back to it. I'm a Good Person is one I keep coming back to, where, again, I sing it to myself, and I just love that one so much. And what's another? Actually, I think the song that I will come back to again and again is "I Never Not Believed in You," or I'm saying the title wrong. It's not "I Never Not Believed in You." It's "I Never." Crap. What is the title? Crap.
Well, we know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, but anyway, I think that's one that to me it's. Again, I know you don't agree with me, Eddie, but I think it's it's the best, if not one of the best ones that Paula has on the show. But then again, I think any song she has on the show that she has been a soloist for has not been a terrible song. Like, every one of her songs is amazing. So I guess that would be my top.
It's called I've Always Never Believed in You.
There we go. I knew I was getting it wrong.
Circling.
Yeah, so I think those are my 3.
Sweet.
I have to say, if I had to pick one song to listen to and never listen to any other song in the series, I would have to say, and I'm torn between 2, and they're both Paula's songs. I'm going to have to say maybe This Dream. Only because of how strong of a powerhouse she is on that song. That song also started us into what Paula's story was going to be, and we actually got away from her and the whole Rebecca thing, which of course was amazing. Then my second favorite is, of course, Face Your Fears, which I literally will sing to my patients when they are afraid at work. Literally, I will. I'll be like, face your fears. Like, I'm serious, I do. The antidepressants are not such a big deal. I also sing that at work, but I do say that, like, your narcotics are not such a big deal. Like, they're just songs I can sing in my life, I guess.
That one's a direct La La Land reference.
Yeah.
I never saw Land.
Well, that's
You're not
okay. You
missing
don't
much.
have to. He and I had the same reaction at the same time. I love it.
Oh.
I'll go. My favorite songs, obviously, I really love all of the really funny ones. Like, I just have a tendency to gravitate towards the funny ones, but those aren't my overall. My overall favorites are the ones that get stuck in my head. So I know that they're good because they're in there. And those 3 from 3rd to 1st are Diagnosis. It gets stuck in my head a lot. The end of the movie, the Josh Groban version, gets stuck in my head a lot. And then my all-time favorite song of the series for sure is You Stupid Bitch.
Yep, I'm going to go after Kylie because we have a lot of the same ones. And for the same reason, they're not necessarily the best ones for the season as a whole, but they're the ones that are constantly stuck in my head that I automatically think to, or I can't get them out. So 3rd for me is also A Diagnosis. 2nd place for me is 11 O'Clock, just because it covers so many other songs that I love. I keep going back to that. I just love its placement in the show. And then, number 1 is You Stupid Bitch. That's without question.
I'll go next so the moderator can go last. I have as number 3, Settle For Me. The lyrics just for some reason are very relatable, and it's the original Greg, and I just love the whole pastiche of the number. Number 2 for me is Love's Not a Game, because I love the big guys and dolls thing, and I love the fact that they were being ironic in the song, because in some ways she was playing a little bit of a game, at least up until the point, and then they ended up playing the game while she was being, like, healthy about it. So I like that piece. And also I like Why Joe. It was the only time he sang. And then I like A Diagnosis. I know that You Stupid Bitch is a very popular, like on most of the ranking lists that I researched to try to get names of songs. You Stupid Bitch is like number 1 more often than not. And I really like it. To me, though, it's really on the nose and Park and Barky, so I kind of have it in my honorable mentions.
Actually, one of the rankings that I sent you guys had Let's Generalize About Men as the top song, which I like it, but I
thought it was poorly done.
It was. I think it was what it was trying to be, but I didn't need to see what it was trying to be. Maybe I will say I had a couple honorable mentions. You all mentioned them in some way, but I know somebody said they didn't like Where's the Bathroom, but I have to shout out
Tova Felcha.
Tova Felcha, who plays her mom, is an amazing actress, and I just really enjoyed her performance over the whole series. So I will shout her out. All right, I'm actually going to give you. Let me see. I'm going to give you my top 5, guys, because I really struggled to narrow it down more than that. My number 4 is Don't Be a Lawyer. Or no, my number 5 is Don't Be a Lawyer. I sing it all the time. I'm not a lawyer, so clearly I followed my own advice. My number 4 is Let's Have Intercourse. I also sing that all the time, and my husband finally was like, are you asking, or what is this? What are you going on about? I was like, no, it's just a song. And then I had to stop, because that's just mean. Right? I mean, but it was noon on a Sunday, so anyway. It's kind of true. My number 3 is a song we have not mentioned, and most people don't rank this song very highly, but I really love it. It is the homage to Hair called Without Love, You Can Save the World.
I like that one a lot.
I
Consider it a bit of an homage to Hairspray because Without Love is a huge song in Hairspray. But this is like the sequel, and they do a big Hair number, and I just adore it.
It would be in my top 20.
Yeah. My number 2 is the end of the movie. I just think it's such great lyrics. Life is an endless series of revelations that occur over a period of time. I mean, come on with that lyric. And my number 1 is A Diagnosis. Guys, I could belt the crap out of that number, and I think we all could in this group of fine performers.
I couldn't. Sarah could. I could not.
I'd give it a try. I'll direct you in it. How's that?
Okay.
Okay.
I have one more surprise question before we round out the questions I gave you. If we were casting a musical of this show, who would we all be playing and why? And yes, you have to perform, Kylie. You can't direct, so just get over it. I can tell you who I picked already.
Go. Yeah, please go.
So, okay, can I clarify before we get into it? Because I'm not sure I understand. Are we saying who we ourselves would play in the musical, or are we saying who the 6 of us would play in a stage version?
We have to decide who the 6 of us would play. We have to kind of come to a consensus.
Okay.
I feel very strongly that Callie would play Heather. I feel very...
Heather?
Yes. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I know.
Because
I know.
I feel like you have a very flat delivery sometimes, and it would be perfect.
No, you're spot on, dude. You're spot on. Mm-hmm. Yep,
Great.
100%.
Great. Does anyone argue?
Nope.
No, you're not going to argue with that.
I feel like we're going to agree with you on most of these.
I think
Yeah.
so. Just keep going, Sarah.
That's the one that I would want to play, but of course Callie would play it because I couldn't play her, but she's really fun. So.
Well, also, I really think Callie always gets these dance. Callie is a very solid dancer, and I feel like people put her in there. So I don't know. I just think her delivery sometimes is so like Heather, and I just love it. No, I didn't have strong feelings about the rest of us.
100%.
She'd be funny in the Monster parody where they were whatever the name of that song is, the Monster Mash parody, where she talks about laughing at the guy's penis. That's you, Callie.
Yeah.
That sounds right. That sounds right.
I think we should make an executive decision that Sarah should cast this musical and should cast all of us.
Oh, really?
Moderator.
She already has. Don't be silly.
No, I really only thought about Callie.
Sarah,
Oh, okay.
But I kind of think, Kristen, you're going to think this is way out of left field, but I really feel like you could pull off Valencia pretty decently.
Yeah.
I'll take it. I love being cast in out-of-the-box roles, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
so
Boys-
I think I would put Kylie as probably Paula.
Paula.
I agree completely.
Because
I
I feel like
100% agree.
I love her sarcasm. I'm not really coloratura at all, but I could belt some stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, you're
that's
going to
all
have
right. Go ahead, belt it out.
I'm not doing it right now.
when we do our live, when we can, after COVID, when we do our live performance, you got to be ready for that.
I'll try.
Eddie, who do you want to play, dude?
Why are you going to ask me who I want to play?
Well, because there's so many male roles and only 2 of you guys, so we could really put you guys in a lot of places here.
Right. Who do you think?
Gosh, that's hard.
Wouldn't you?
Josh. Did you say Josh, Sarah? Yeah.
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 Yeah, I would.
White Josh or non-white Josh?
Normal Josh. Normal Josh.
Play
You're gonna
both
have
Joshes.
to-
Both Joshes.
Both Joshes.
All the
You got to
Joshes.
both tracks, dude. You got to cover both tracks.
Thank you. What's really funny is I would love to be Daryl, though.
No, actually, you would be a great Daryl. You would be a fantastic
I
Daryl.
would
That's a
wanna
great
be
choice.
Like, hands down, for sure.
Yeah, I love it.
Maybe you have to be all of those.
Michael.
Michael, I really think this is hard. You could
Yeah,
be
I know. Do it, say it. I'm going to take whatever you say, and I'm not going to judge anything in myself or anything else. Because I feel like I know what's going to happen. I'm going to be one of the weird side characters that doesn't get a lot done. Go ahead, say it.
I wasn't going to say that, but now I want.
And I want Michael to play we haven't even talked about.
He's not gonna. It's not like he's gonna play Rebecca.
Right.
He's not gonna be Rebecca. And he has to be a side character.
Michael, I think you would do really well at playing Paula's husband.
Oh yeah.
No,
That's good.
only because
Scott.
like he really brings the show back to reality. Like, all right, girl, thanks for complaining to me, but let me tell you how real life actually is.
And he gets really into Paula's obsession with Rebecca, which is consummately kind of part of the show, which therefore is a commentary on your love of the show.
Okay.
I don't need any disrespect.
No, I will take that. That's a good choice. I like that character. It's a good character, and I would play that character with relish.
But I kind of wanted you to play Tim and sing the buzzing in the bathroom.
Oh my gosh.
Really?
Great.
It's so
Maybe Michael could just record it for us and send it to us.
I don't know if I could pull that song off.
Yes, you could. So
I haven't done a musical in, let's see, when was Into the Woods? That was 2014, so 6 years.
14, yeah, you're right.
Oh my gosh,
I
it's
haven't-
been that long?
Yeah, I have not done a musical in 6
Sister
years.
Act is
So
longer than Into the Woods. When was Sister Act? That was my last one.
2016.
But we're all in COVID, so none of us have done anything in quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
So
We can solve this out, Kylie, if it's not interesting. I just wanted to know what people thought.
Well, and clearly you're Rebecca Nora Bunch. We've already established
Yeah,
that.
that's done.
That's done.
But I hope you don't think it's because I'm crazy.
No, I don't
No.
think it's good.
no, it's because you can sing it.
I mean, her voice type is like my voice type, and we look pretty similar, and we're the same age, and I can dance decently well, and not that well, but I can,
It's mostly because you're probably the only one of us who could actually sing it.
I think.
Because I can't.
I think the only reason I would cast you, Sarah, as Rebecca is because you have the qualities that make me love Rebecca. And
Yeah, you're funny.
And she really does try finding the good in every freaking situation.
Yeah.
And I feel like, you and I haven't hung out a lot, together, but what I have worked with you on, I feel like that's you to the T.
Well, I can't even describe to you guys that there is a song in my head that has been in my head since we did The Producers. And it's a song that Sarah wrote that's called Who Do I Have to F to Get In Here? And it's a song about how am I supposed to get into a show. And it's still in my head. I remember the whole thing.
this is literally 2009. This show was done in Grand Rapids, Michigan in 2009. So
10 years later, Sarah wrote an off-the-wall, just riffing song that is still, I remember to this day.
So, I just want to mention two things.
That's what Sarah does.
If you need a recent example of Sarah making up songs off the cuff, in our most recent Star Trek episode, The Next Generation, when we're having a very spicy conversation about Dr. Pulaski, only in that conversation, Michael and Sarah are on the opposite side of the argument. She sings something to the effect of, "She does not good at her job."
I did. I mean, you have to call all of this
Yeah.
out. Now, this is just a podcast about me, and that got weird. But I will say, I did write the theme song, so that's
I was
probably a
gonna
better
say
example
that
of me writing a song.
She did write
That's
her
what Sarah
own song.
does.
Yeah.
Bring it back. Let's bring it back, y'all.
Oh, we're bringing it back.
We need to rank our interest in the show on a scale of 1 to 5 stars. 1 being low, 5 being high, and give a reason and state if you would recommend this show to people. I give this show a solid 3.5. I think it has a lot of highs and some lows, but overall, it's about a 70% in my book. I hope I did that math right, but we'll see. And Kylie's giving me the My ranking is just, I enjoyed my rewatch of this show immensely, more than my first time through. And I think it has a lot of stuff. I'll never stop singing these songs, that's for sure. I probably wouldn't recommend this show to a lot of other people. I think, like Eddie said earlier, you gotta know your audience. So
I'm going to keep easy. I'm going to agree with Sarah with her ranking and with everything that she said.
I would rank the show probably 3.25 stars. I give it the quarter just because, in my mind, 3-star, of course, if you listen to other episodes with the star business, as panelist Hillary calls it, 3 stars to me is things I like and things I don't. 4 stars is it's intriguing, but there are flaws or pitfalls in the premise. To me, there's more flaws and pitfalls than intrigue, and I like it slightly more. I like more things than I dislike, and also it's kind of the lowest possible rating that I'll give a show that I intend to keep watching, which I did here. If it were any lower, I would have probably bailed. And as far as recommending it, yes. Extremely specific audience, because it isn't even just that it's musical theater, it's musical theater plus cringe humor. You really have to like the parody genre to enjoy this show, and you have to be able to laugh through disgusting humor, which many of us can, but not everybody does.
I'm going to give it a 3 and out of 5 stars. And the reason I am is I think it would have had the 3.5 for me if they wouldn't have done situations that they could have done better and that weren't, and I've talked a lot about this and I'm very strong about it, that they kind of brought the hump there and they didn't really, and they just skipped it and they like skipped a beat. And since it's a musical show, I can say that they skipped a beat. And I feel like I've said, and like everybody else agrees with that, I actually am going to go as far as saying I will never recommend this show to anybody. And the reason I will never recommend this show is because I think the people that I would recommend this show to are currently on this panel that are in my friends group. And it is a very specific show. And being a musical person, I didn't even know it existed until Kylie recommended it to me. And to even say how hard it was to get through, I got to season 3, and the only reason I finished the show is because I was already committed to the podcast.
I'll give it a solid 3.5 for all the same reasons. It started off strong. It tried to get there. It was kind of all over the place. I would recommend it again, just like everybody else, to a very specific crowd. My husband, who is Kylie's brother, did start watching it with me, and he bailed pretty early on. He was like, nah, not interested, Yeah, and he enjoyed like the musical aspect and the humor, but then it got too messy and so he bailed. But like my sister, I think would appreciate it. So a very specific person is the one to recommend this one to for sure.
I don't know what to say.
Michael, have a feeling, say it.
I'm a very empathetic person, so a lot of times my opinion gets shaped by what the consensus of a group is.
Oh, you don't have to follow suit. Don't follow suit.
I know, but that's the problem.
Opinion.
That's who I am. So I'm basically resisting giving it 5 stars, which is what I really want. But I'm resisting it because of what everyone else is thinking, and thinking like, okay, well, you have the points. Okay, you have really good points. And it's important that
just give it a 5. You love it.
Self-actualize, my friend.
If you make you feel any better, the average goes up if you give it 5 stars.
It's true.
I'm also the same person that brought the average down for Stranger Things because I gave it 4, because everyone else gave it 5 stars, and I gave it 4 3/4.
So now you know.
So now is your moment. Let it shine, brother. Let it shine.
Yeah, I mean, I guess based on whatever, it's hard to say. I don't know. It's weird. 5 stars, I guess, because I don't know what it is about this show. I don't know if it's just Rachel Bloom as an actress, and I just connected with her character in some way. I don't know. Does that make me like super self-involved and I just never realized it? I don't know.
No.
Just like every time I watch it, I smile, and it just makes me feel good, and I laugh hysterically at every joke, and I just think that it was, for what the show did, it accomplished something that we will never see on television ever again. I'm not sure that we will ever see anything like this, because it was a flash in the pan of Rachel Bloom coming to prominence on YouTube. And then, I can't remember if she pitched the show or if, I don't know, I wish I could remember the history, but I can't.
Eileen approached her. Brash approached her, yeah.
Okay, thank you. And, I just think I just feel like we're not going to see that again. I don't know if it's, and to me that makes it very special. There are moments on this show that I got choked up.
But would you recommend it to anyone?
Yeah, I would, but I don't know if anyone will listen. It's more of a thing of, I just want to share this show with somebody that has as much enthusiasm as I do for it. And I don't know, I'm sure they're out there, but yeah.
Wow. They might be.
Yeah, they might be. But I think you're right, Michael. For all of our talk and for some of our struggles, the observation that you just made is true. It's very original. It does something that no other show has done. And even if we disagree about the execution, that gives it points. You know, it's created a lot of great discussion today.
It cast people who were not television commodities and really gave them a chance to shine and for us to meet some of these great actors. And I think that's really special in and of itself. I know, not a ton of shows are allowed to do that. I think Schitt's Creek kind of also sort of was a show that was allowed to do that. And I think you're right. It's kind of special. It's lightning in a bottle, and we're not going to get anything like it again soon. So
And
I
God
know that
bless
we've
the
asked this
CW.
question on other podcasts on if we would, and when they were kind of looking back, for example, would we follow any of the characters if they went on any other shows? I can't say her name right either, but the character that played Heather, if there was another pilot, a show with a pilot season with a pilot, I would definitely watch it and look into it because I loved her character so much on the show, for sure.
her name is Bella Lavelle, and she is,
Bella Lavelle.
yeah, she's
I wasn't
great.
sure if it was Lavelle or Lovell. I say Level in my head, but
Well, I just watched the Actors Benefit Crazy Ex-Girlfriend reunion on YouTube that you can all watch too, and they said Bella Lavelle. So
there you go. Then that's the way to say it, obviously.
I usually ask you guys at this point if there's anything we haven't brought up, but boy, we sure have covered a lot.
The only thing that I want to bring up is that the other thing that I really thought was funny about the show is they had some random people like pop up on the show. Like, wasn't Patti LuPone on the show and she all of a
Yes.
sudden was like Jewish? And like then she like
She was Rebecca Bunch's rabbi.
Yep.
And she has that really great song, Remember That We Suffered.
I think she is Jewish.
Yes.
Weird Al.
Weird Al
Josh-
pops up.
Josh Groban.
Josh Groban, who I had a dream about that he was my boyfriend once. I did. I'll never forget it ever in my whole life.
Wow.
Yeah, he was my boyfriend. He was singing to me and gave me a rose. It was great.
Hey.
That was just a dream.
I was just gonna say, I was gonna say, be thankful for the CW because the CW gave life to this show and it kept it going when most other networks would have given up on it. And I think that's something to be said too.
Yeah.
I think they do that a lot
Yeah.
with a lot of shows.
I will say that I will follow Rachel Bloom, whatever she does next. I'm a little disappointed. She's got a new book coming out, which I'm totally going to read. She was slated to write the music with, I think, Adam Schlesinger and Jack Dolgen or Dolgen. I'm probably saying the name wrong. But I think they were slated to write the music to the musical adaptation of The Nanny, which was going to go to Broadway. But obviously that's all thrown up in the air. So I was totally looking forward to that. I was like, oh, that's really cool. I wouldn't think The Nanny would make a very good Broadway musical, but with them involved, it might actually be not bad. So I would have looked for that soundtrack if and when it ever got made. I can't wait to see what she does next. But literally every other actor on the show, I'm like, oh, hey, I can't wait to see what they do next, whatever it ends up being, if anything.
The second podcast I've done with you in a row where we've brought up The Nanny, and I just don't know what world we're living in now, Michael. This keeps coming up.
Did we mention
Right.
that on the MASH podcast? I don't remember.
Star
No,
Trek.
it was Star Trek.
Star Trek.
Season 2, Next Gen.
The
I
one
just
we
listened
just
to it.
published. Yeah.
Okay, I have to listen to that podcast. Second The Nanny. Really?
Why did I bring that up? I'm just curious.
We went to some weird places. I was tired or something. I don't know.
Okay, no joke intended, but maybe. You guys were in a different dimension? Sorry, I'm tired.
Guys, on that note, I think I got to throw this back to Kylie to wrap it up. We've
Yeah.
gone there and back again.
We've had a crazy X kind of a time, that's for sure. And I want to thank Sarah for moderating probably the most spicy discussion she's ever had to moderate. So very nice job, Sarah. And thanks to Kristen and Michael and Kylie and Eddie for joining us both to talk about Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. And because we've talked and sung about Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, da-da-da-da-da-da-da, it's time to roll the credits now. Couch Potatoes Unite! Exclamation Point was produced by Back Pocket Productions, run by yours truly, the Chief Couch Potato, which is really another way of saying executively produced by me, Kylie Piette. My associate producers are Krista Pennington and Selene Rezmer. I edit this podcast, and our logo is by Rebecca Wallace. Our marketing graphic artist is Krista. Our theme song was written by Sarah Milbratz and sung by Sarah, Amy McDaniel, and Kelsey Rezmer. Kelsey played the keyboard, Ian McDonough played the bass, Christian Somerville played the guitar, and the whole kit and caboodle was engineered and produced by Kyle Aspinall and Christian. We hail from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Please, if you like what you hear, take the time to rate us on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, or Google Play, or wherever you find your podcasts. Give us stars, give us comments, give us reviews. Let us know how we're doing. Send us a message. We might just read it on the podcast. Tell us what you like, what you don't like, what we should keep, what we should toss. You know how it goes. And if you have suggestions on shows we might consider, contact us at our website, couchpotatoesunite.wordpress.com, where we have a guest book, by email at couchpotatoesunitepodcast@gmail.com, or via our social media, Facebook, Twitter at CPU Podcast, and Instagram at Couch Potatoes Unite. Though, of course, we add new and old shows to chat about around the water cooler all the time. We always have several more new episodes coming down the pike. Just listen to our intros, and if you miss old episodes or want to know in general what we cover, just find us. We are everywhere and searchable wherever you look for things on the internet. You can search for us, or you can subscribe on our website, our channels, our social media accounts. Stay up on our new events and episodes. Until the next time, all available seasons of Crazy Ex-Girlfriend are available to stream on Netflix, our unofficial non-sponsor. Don't worry, we'll be mentioning other streaming channels more often, I think, in the future. If you have nominations for shows we should cover on our podcast, contact us via social media or email. You can volunteer to be a panelist too. In the meantime, and until next time, until next episode, new episodes are published every Wednesday. Keep listening, keep watching, stay tuned!
Bye-bye.
Bye.